complete college basketball's greatest rebound and rebuild with a championship.
If you're going to war and I'm coaching, I'm taking these guys.
Baylor, kings of college basketball, #1 in the land, and the trophy is coming to Waco.
Baylor, one of the great turnarounds in college athletics history, national champions in year 18 for Scott Drew.
Our fans that have been with us for the lean years, the good years, and our administration, President Livingstone, Mac Rhodes, they all deserve this. The city of Waco deserves this. Hey, Texas, we got a national championship too. The state deserves it.
Did I stutter?
He has time, launches it to the end zone. Touchdown! Terrence Williams!
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
The 2011 winner of the Heisman Trophy is Robert Griffin III, RG3!
Welcome to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Langoliers, base hit to center, and the Baylor Bears win their first Big 12 tournament championship.
Their fat little girlfriends are telling them what they want to hear, which is how great you are.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Hello? You play to win the game.
Yep, just ready for OU.
You can't handle the truth.
Here's Drake Toll.
And we are back. Monday, baby. Up tempo, May 3rd. Kicking it off, Drake Toll alongside J.D. PicKell, Armstrong, Sims, and Andrew Robertson for your Monday. And today very well could be the day that Baylor hires, replaces, fills the vacancy for the women's basketball coaching position.
A lot of names still floating around. Still anyone's game. We're coming down the final stretch, and we're going to hopefully find out today, hopefully on Up Tempo. If you're not watching Up Tempo, turn it on right now, or tell your friends to turn it on right now, and get the name that's going to be the next women's basketball coach at Baylor University.
Oh, wow. Do you have it?
Do I have the name?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it on air.
Well, all right.
Got it in the back pocket.
What do you know that I don't know? Because I'll tell you this. We start the show today without a hire named yet. And Mac Rhodes keeps these things pretty much on lock, as he's done with every coaching search since he's been here at Baylor. You just don't know where Mac Rhodes is going to go with these things. But today, we've narrowed it down. We've narrowed it down to murmurs. I've got a source who's informed me that he has heard 3 specific names that have come over and over and over. And one of them still, I did not think, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm going to be very forthright and honest in saying that I did not believe that at this point in time in the week that we would still be uttering the words Molly Miller and be serious about it. But it's becoming more of a possibility. Like, this is while distant, still a reality.
I like that. I mean, I would be happy with Molly Miller. I think that'd be a great hire. What are the other 2 that we're hearing right now?
So, first foremost being that Molly Miller hire. I've heard that name a lot. And then, also from a separate source, Nikki Collin, who is the head coach of the Atlanta Dream. She's been in the WNBA. She spent time in college coaching. She played at Colorado State. She was an assistant coach at Arkansas and had she's had a successful career, decent career in Atlanta. She was a WNBA Coach of the Year. Her name has become at the forefront of this. I heard that name from a source outside of the coaching hire, so I can't confirm that that's part of it. But also Megan Duffy, the Marquette head coach. I've heard her name thrown around as well, and that came from another source too that said, hey, I'm hearing this name too. So I did not expect to hear Nikki Collin and Megan Duffy. Collin was a bit more of a surprise when it came out.
Yeah.
But the fact that Molly Miller's name is still right there.
Yeah, I think Collin would surprise me a little bit too, just the fact that she'd be a pro name. And I know one of the priorities right now is to kind of keep this group together that's already in Waco and keep that core nucleus. So bringing in a professional hire would surprise me a little bit. But like you said, Mac Rhodes, keeping it very hush-hush. So your guess is as good as mine over here. I like Duffy, though. Duffy makes a lot of sense. Married, no children, 41 years old, has been at Marquette. She was up for the Notre Dame job for a minute and got, I don't know if passed over is the right word, but she needed more time. To get some experience there. But I think she'd be a great fit, especially given just her profile really reminds me a lot of Scott Drew when he came to Baylor 18 years ago. So not a bad parallel. Not a bad parallel at all.
Well, I'll tell you this. You talked about Mac and what Mac does when he makes these hires, and while we don't know, there's nothing that we can solidify yet. That's the best part with Mac Rhoades and these hires that he makes is because, well, he keeps under wraps. He keeps under wraps. But I'll tell you, and that is really what my main takeaway to start the show today is the fact that when this whole thing started and Molly Miller's name was being thrown out at Grand Canyon, it was the thought that, all right, that's fine. I mean, she had a lot of success at Drury University. Is she ready for this head coaching job? Is there any way that Molly Miller could actually get this head coaching job? Lo and behold, here we are Monday, May 3rd, and that's still a name in the hat.
It's still a name in the hat. I'm wondering, I mean, is there a lot of... How close is this source pretty close to Baylor, or how close are we to the Molly Miller? Because I'm wondering exactly how much we're supposed to trust different rumblings. Duffy, a name that we've heard a lot. I've heard Green from Dayton is potentially in the mix as well. So I think we're all just sort of, at least on my end, I'm trying to figure out exactly what's a smoke screen here with Collins, what's a smoke screen with Duffy. Like, Baylor might have already picked their person, and we're still just waiting to figure it out. But
I think that's
I would love Miller. I would love if Molly Miller were the person. I think that'd be a great fit. Again, I'm partial to the internal hire. I think that'd be awesome too, Messer, Brock, but I'd side more with Messer.
I think we're in a case right now where Baylor, Mac Rhoades, they've talked about it. It seems like the hire is impending in the next 2 days. That today, hopefully today, possibly tomorrow, that Baylor is going to make the hire. And in that case, one can only think that Mac Rhoades has made his interviews, and now at this point is narrowing it down amongst the candidates that he interviewed. I can't imagine that Mac interviewed more than 3 or 4 candidates.
Yeah.
That the interview process itself was pretty strict. That's just the way that Mac Rhoades kind of operates. So the question then becomes, are there follow-ups today? Did Mac Rhoades wake up confident in his hire? And when is it announced? You know, typically in these coaching searches, especially on the women's basketball side, if they're hiring a baseball coach or women's basketball coach, you can find a lot of information out there.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of...
Chart flights.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Find the flights, follow them, Zillow searches, stuff like that.
Yeah.
In this case, Mac has done a stupendous job in keeping things under wraps.
It sounds like it's even been outside of Waco in a different Texas location based on the stuff that we're seeing on the board. It sounds like that's kind of the case right now, which props to them. I mean, they have 3 or 4 steps on everyone else in the media in terms of what they want to say and what they are trying to portray. So they've done a great job keeping it under wraps, and I really hope it's today. I hope it's on up-tempo that we find out, because that would be phenomenal. That would be phenomenal.
If I had to guess, and this is not a based guess, this is just throwing it out there and hoping I'm right, but I do... In the way that we've seen things operate in the past, I expect it to break sometime around noon today. If they're going to break it today, why not break it in the early part of the day? Because then you can fly the coach. And that's how most of these coaching searches go. You get a lot, if it's not on a weekend, if it's on a weekday, you're typically going to get it in the morning around the noon time. And then once it breaks, that gives that coaching candidate enough time to fly into their respective city, get off the plane, be greeted by fans. And at that point, the administration knows who it's going to be and what they need to do to welcome them to town.
Or maybe jump in their car and drive down to the complex and move their stuff to the new head office from their other assistant office.
Well,
maybe just enough time for them to get there. Maybe that's why we're not seeing any charts, any flights charted.
I will say that right now what we've heard, and this is coming whether it be from this is not from directly from Mac Rhoades' office, I'm sorry, but it doesn't sound like there's a predominant male candidate out there that this search committee is honed in on. The only person that I could see male it being is Bill Brock.
Right.
And that would be a hire from within. I have not heard Messer's name very prominently in a while.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have my ears super close to the ground, to be 100% honest with you, in terms of what Messer's level of candidacy is. I think the one interesting part that you talk about with Brock is if this were to be his job, he would take it and it would be a probably shorter term hire. This would be the end of his career. This would be his swan song. I don't know how many years he would coach at Baylor, but it sounds like this would be his last role in his professional career. So if you do hire Brock, I think you're maybe bridging the gap a little bit to the next person. So obviously I don't have 100% certainty with saying that, but that's kind of the way it feels if you do go in the direction of Bill Brock.
254-339-1122. Call us or text us today. The PicKell Labs phone line is open. The Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line is open. I fully expect that by the time that we end this show today, Baylor will have come out and announced our new women's basketball coach. Do we have a strict timetable on this? No, we do not. That is speculation that'll happen, but I got this gut feeling gut feeling that today is not only today the day, but around the noon hour that Mac Rhodes will come out and somebody will say something that this thing's going to break.
Money down, who you going with?
Money down.
Money down, who's your pick? Sick 'em, pick 'em.
I will say, give me the way things sound right now. Wow. Let me...
Assuming it's not Brock.
Take Brock off the board.
Who are you going with?
So I'm gonna give you my top 5 that I think it could be. I'm gonna give you my top 5.
No. You get one. Can
I give you my top 5 and put odds on?
No, money down.
I'm gonna put odds on each of them.
We just talked about all 5 of them. Give me your one.
I'm gonna put odds on each of them.
Pick a horse, Kentucky Derby style. Who you riding? And then I want to hear your top 5.
If I had to go with my one right now, ear to the ground, the name that I've heard that I think would be a great fit, and I've heard would be a great fit, I heard would be a smash hire, Megan Duffy.
Oh, that was my horse. Okay, we're both riding the Megan Duffy train.
Megan Duffy.
Welcome to Waco, Megan Duffy.
Megan Duffy. If there's one horse that I think will be the actual candidate out of these 5, I think it's going to be Megan Duffy.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it makes a lot of sense. 41 years old. I mean, did a great job at Marquette. Feels like the right fit.
Possibility. She's won where she's gone. Possibility of retaining assistants in Coach Messer and Coach Brock. One can only hope. Although I have heard that SicEm Messer is ready for the head coaching job. She's shown in this process she's ready for a head coaching job. So I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever she ends up going somewhere else to be a head coach, even a Power 5 job. Right now, I'm going to give my odds. I'm going to go Megan Duffy at plus 300. Give me SicEm Messer at plus 350. So she's not far behind Megan Duffy.
Okay.
Give me then, I'm going to go Nikki Collin at plus 500, Molly Miller at plus 750, and then we've still, the Adia Barnes is a name that we've thrown out there a couple times and that Paul Catalina threw out last week that I put Adia Barnes in there because I love what she's done in Arizona. I think she'd be a great hire. I would put Adia Barnes at probably plus 1,000, and then Joni Taylor at plus, however the plus can go.
Joni Taylor just said she's eliminated from contention, from what I understand.
Exactly. I think plus like 17 million.
Love it. I love it. Barnes got a pay raise too. Barnes got a little more money, so I think that could be something you look at. Do we want to pay that much to get Barnes? But I mean, bottom line, if Mac wants Adia Barnes, I'm sure he'll go get Adia Barnes. But I like those odds for the most part. I like what you did there with Colin. I mean, Colin would be an exciting pick. It would be surprising. I wouldn't see that, but I mean, vintage Mac Rhodes. Didn't see it coming, and here she is, head coaching women's basketball at Baylor University. So I'm with that. I'm with you though. I'm still riding the Duffy train.
So we've got 254-339-1122 phone lines are open. We got G-Dub on the phone line. I'm going to get to him in a second. I'm going to read off a couple of these profiles here. So Nikki Collin, born 1975, she's 45 years old. Coach of the Atlanta Dream in the WNBA, 2018 Coach of the Year. She's on a bit of a downtrend, but also it's a WNBA very volatile. I mean, it's not like you can win a championship one year and then win like 7 games the next year. It's just kind of how the way the league goes. It's a very weird league. WNBA Coach of the Year in 2018. She was an assistant for the Connecticut Sun. She was an assistant at Colorado State. She played at Purdue and Marquette and was an assistant at Colorado State, then an assistant at Ball State, Louisville, Arkansas, Florida Gulf Coast. She spent some very valuable years in the coaching game at different colleges. She's recruited at the collegiate level. I think Nikki Collin, if it comes out that she is the way that Baylor goes from the WNBA, that's not bad at all.
I'm going to give you my top 3 here. I'm going to go Duffy. I like it plus 300, feels right. I'm going to go Shauna Green from Dayton. She's been a name that I think we've heard a little bit more about lately, just murmuring on the board. She did a great job at Dayton, and they run what's called like actually I don't know the name of the offense, but it's a modern offense from what I understand. They really like to shoot the ball. I think they launched over 300 threes a year ago.
Holy mess.
So they like to get it up, and I think that's one of the things that we're hearing is they like to wheel and deal here for whoever this new hire is. But Shauna Green, I'm going to put her like 325.
Really? That close?
I'm going to go with 325 with Shauna Green. I don't know for a fact, but I think the fact that she is the modern offense, I don't know her prowess when it comes to recruiting, but I think that could be someone who kids these days want to play for exciting offenses, exciting coaches, and Shauna Green fits that bill. So those would be the other 2 that I would fit in there. I think it's a 2-horse race in my mind outside of Bill Brock, who I would put probably right around 350.
Bill Brock
probably right around 350.
Wasn't in my top 5. That's big.
Mac Rhodes is going to do a Mac.
Mac Rhodes is going to pull a Mac Rhodes on this.
Mac's going to Mac.
You say that recruits and kids want to play for that fun, fast-paced, high up-tempo style offense, but right? Kim Mulkey.
Yeah.
Defense.
Yeah,
They shot 3 3-pointers a game pretty much this last season. Look at Gino Auriemma. Gino Auriemma is very, very similar in the fact that his teams aren't going to live and die by the 3. You look at teams that live and die by the 3, Iowa State and Arkansas. Arkansas got bounced by Wright State in round 1 of this past year's tournament, because when you live and die by the 3, you're going to live by it against the UConns and Baylors every now and then, but you're going to die by it more often than not.
Yeah, well, Kim and Pat, too, are also just brands of their own. Like we talked about it a lot. Kim Mulkey can recruit because she's Kim Mulkey. I mean, if Kim Mulkey said, hey, we're going to dribble the ball out for 30 seconds to the end of the shot clock and then go and shoot a 3, they'd be like, okay, great, you're Kim Mulkey, we'll come play for you. And I mean, I think that's probably the same with Pat. So it's interesting to see the way that this is going to evolve. I mean, I guess we'll find out just how much people want to play for her if she does end up being the head Baylor coach. But, yeah, I think the way it's trending, I could see that being an appealing thing for recruits is, hey, let's go play in this up-tempo offense, go play where we're going to shoot 23s a game. Like, that's something that I could see being appealing to a high school kid, especially these days.
Remember, if you're on the YouTube, to hit the subscribe button and let you know every day that up-tempo goes live. On top of that, also go to the SicEm365 app, download the SicEm365 app. If you go to the SicEm365 forum, SicEm365.com, you can find insider information about this coaching hire. Stuff that we don't even know. Stuff that we don't even know that is currently being released by the minute. By the minute of the SicEm365 staff. They've compiled a great list of those candidates and the things that you need to see. Go to SicEm365, become a premium subscriber. There's currently a deal on right now, and you'll have insider information because there are things that we don't even know. They're coming out right now on the website, information on who this next head coach is going to be and who it'll likely be in Mac Rhodes' hire. Jerry says, hey, Drake, why are you were so in favor of Molly last week? What happened? She was the future. If we don't get her to TCU, well, what happened? I'll tell you this, Jerry. If I'm making my odds, if I'm picking a horse, this isn't who necessarily that I want, who I have at the forefront of my search, but it's who I believe Mac Rhodes will end up circling and going in. I think Megan Duffy right now probably has the best odds. Did you also want Duffy for the best odds?
I went Duffy.
Right?
I think Duffy's probably the best odds in my mind. I mean, what do I know? Mac Rhodes going to do whatever he wants to do, but that's where my money would lie probably.
There's something about it that just makes me think Megan Duffy is right there on the – she's a great name. Would be a great hire. She's won everywhere she's gone, and I think Megan Duffy would be a solid hire. We're going to do some more coaching profiles here in a second. We got G-Dub on the call line.
Hey.
G-Dub, what's going on? Happy Monday, man. This could be the big day.
I know, guys. Hey, I think Molly Miller, I mean, y'all made some great points. I just think Molly Miller would be I wouldn't say she'd be a great hire. And she's so young that she can grow in Waco.
Yeah, I think that's the hope for whoever the next hire is probably, is someone who's going to grow in Waco, stick around. The Bill Brock option seems like the alternate solution to that. I don't know if that's the way you go or not, but I'm with you. I think they want to have someone who's going to be around for a long time and be the next Kim Mulkey and grow this program, make it their own.
G-Dub, it's just a matter of taking a chance. There are times in a program where you have to take a chance because Kansas football is going to have to take a chance. You're not going to get a tenured coach to come to your university. Baylor is not that. There have been a lot of people who have said with the Molly Miller hire, it'll show that Baylor maybe doesn't take this as seriously as they could by not hiring a big name. I don't believe that. But murmurs, there are folks that are going to speculate that if Molly Miller gets the hire. They're like, oh, this is the best you can do. A coach who's only been here for 1 year. Those murmurs will come out. So I think that may deter Baylor from going there. But I agree with you. I think there are a lot of positives on the Molly Miller side.
And Mac Rhodes, he doesn't he'll take his chances when it comes to coaching hires. It was all smoke. It was all smoke screens, and nobody in Waco had heard of Matt Rule until they hired him, and Sugar Bowl
worked out.
Boom. I mean, and remember the questions that were raised when not only when Matt Rule was hired, but also when Matt Rule went 1-11.
Yeah.
Here's the deal: the coach next season for Baylor. Not going 1-11. I'll tell you that. Women's basketball. Women's basketball coach is not going 1-11.
Well, the next year, it doesn't matter how many games they win because that first year coach is they're still gonna have their haters. Like within the Baylor fan base, they're gonna be like, oh, okay, she won this many games, blah blah blah. But there's always gonna be a but within the Baylor fan base. Always.
I mean, I guess that remains to be seen. If she wins a national championship or if he wins a national championship, depending on who the next coach is, I have a hard time imagining there's too many buts there.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they very well could do, depending. I mean, they have the talent to do it. They have a lot of people coming back. Alyssa Smith, best player in the country. Like, it's there. I mean, whoever they have, excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have a good season next year, all things being equal.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying they're going to have a bad year. I'm just saying the Baylor fan base, it's always, oh, they did good, but there's always the but in no matter what sport it is.
I want to give you this, G-Dub, our Bear game. Do you have any questions for us, though, first?
All right. So this is in honor of T-Rex getting married this past weekend.
Hey.
So shout out T-Rex. Shout out T-Rex. If y'all could have, like, however many, say y'all get 4 groomsmen.
Oh, wow.
And y'all get to pick 2 Baylor football players to be two of y'all's groomsmen, and y'all get to pick anybody that works at SicEm365 to officiate the wedding. Who y'all picking?
To officiate the wedding?
Yes.
Oh, that's easy. David Smoak's officiating my wedding.
Ooh.
1,000,000,000% David Smoak.
Ooh, I might have you officiate.
Me officiate your wedding?
I think it would sound really good.
That'd be electric.
I think it'd sound great. I would love to have you officiate my wedding.
I'm sorry, I love you guys, but David Smoak's officiating my wedding.
He brings the bell. It's like, ding, 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 ding,
I have
ding.
J.D. PicKell.
Ding, ding.
Probably Boogie Barnes.
Well, J.D. PicKell is my football player of choice, obviously.
He's also a groomsman because he's a football player.
Yeah, and then RG3, J.D. PicKell.
Jordan Fearbacher. We might have problems finding a tux for Siaki Ika. Siaki Ika might be wearing sweats at my wedding. I don't know if he's fitting in, but I would love him there.
G-Dub, I'm going to give you this Bear Games question really quick, and then we're going to talk about it, too, because I want to answer this Bear Games question on our own. And that is, in the first 3 years under this new head women's basketball coach, what do they need to do to earn a long-term contract?
To earn a long-term... Well, win the Big 12, of course, because there's no reason why we shouldn't... I mean, all the Texas fans, they're doing backflips when they heard because they think they're going to take over the Big 12, but it's Texas. Of course, they think that in every sport. But, of course, win the Big 12, and I would at least say one Sweet 16, one Elite 8, or one Sweet 16 and 2 Elite 8s.
One Sweet 16 and 2 Elite 8s.
We'll get to that. Hey, G-Dub, thanks for calling. Always good to hear from you. I think that's it. I think that is it.
Mic drop.
Right, so that's a question that I was asked yesterday by, so I told you Mike Neighbors and I have texted back and forth a little bit over the course of this process and just kind of getting his thoughts on, hey, who does Baylor really need to hone in on and look for? What's a smash higher? Where is Baylor, looking? And what, kind of from the outside looking in, what kind of job is Baylor? And Neighbors answered my question with a question and said, well, what does the coach need to do in his or her first 3 years at Baylor University to be successful? To get a long-term contract, what does the coach need to do?
It feels like it's got to be Elite 8, right? Like Elite 8 is kind of that sweet spot to where they are right where they should be in terms of the women's college basketball world, right? Like Baylor is a school that year in and year out you expect to make a pretty deep run in March, past the Sweet 16. Final Four is like, okay, we're really rolling here. Like if you're in the Final Four as Baylor, like that's a great year, and you expect them to be in the national title game. I think a lot of different years, but Elite 8 is like, okay, you're in the upper echelon of what the women's college basketball world is. So, in my mind, Elite 8 is kind of like that sweet spot. If you can be in the Elite 8 once out of that first 3 years, especially that third year, I want to see progression. I want to see Elite 8 at least in that third year.
So one of the things that I mentioned, and I think this is a very big part of being in the Big 12, is showing that you can, especially with Baylor's roster coming into next season, beat Vic Schaefer. You've got to win next season. So to get an extension, you get a long-term extension, you've got to win the Big 12. Over the course of the next 3 years, there are 6 opportunities to win a Big 12 championship. You need to win 3. Need is a strong word. But 3 is reasonable. And to at least contend, to at least contend for 3, you got to do it in a conference that's very not great at women's basketball.
Yeah.
You've got West Virginia you're competing with. Iowa State's okay. Texas is okay. Those 3 teams haven't proven anything great. They're not Final Four, Elite 8 caliber teams, and Baylor should be.
Yeah.
So Give me you need to win a couple of Big 12 championships these first couple of years with Nalissa Smith coming back.
It feels like you should, right? I'm glad you said that. It feels like you should. With what they have coming back, like the team is going to run itself. All you have to do in that first year is not screw it up, right? Like you have so much going for you, a team that's going to win the Big 12 if you don't steer the ship way off course and sink it. Right? That's how it feels. So I'm with you, especially the first year. Win the Big 12 and make a deep run the first year and get some confidence for this team. Get some recruits on board.
Yeah, so if Miriam Dowda comes still, the 5-star center, if she still ends up coming to Waco, and you lost Hannah Gusters, I don't know if we've mentioned too much about that, but also Hannah Gusters reminds me a lot of Aaron DeGreat. Gusters is a big presence, but getting up and down the floor necessarily. I was very surprised that Gusters followed Kim Mulkey to Louisiana, but that's home for her. It's home for her, and she loves Kim Mulkey, obviously. So that while it was a surprise, it's not like Nalissa Smith or Queen Egbo left. And I say that nicely. I want to put that nicely. With it, though, I think the Big 12's too bad to not vie for a conference title when you return your core next season, especially if Moon Urson was to come back. That'd be nuts. I don't think she's made an announcement yet. But Queen Egbo, Nalissa Smith, I mean, if you've got that core and you can build something out of that, you've got to. Also, you can't get swept by Vic Schaefer. If you go 0-3 next season against Vic Schaefer in Texas, we've got some problems.
Yeah.
We've got, we not problems maybe, but that's up there on the list of things that we need to do is not get swept by Vic Schaefer as the next head coach at Baylor.
And they won't. Like, they really shouldn't. Like you said, they really shouldn't. Whoever that next coach is, you'll have enough firepower to be able to beat Texas at least 2 times in the next season, right? That's how it feels. There's a lot of things that feel this way, especially the next coming year. They're going to have a ton of firepower. So it won't really matter who the coach is until I think the second or third year of their contract. Like that's when we'll see, okay, can you recruit? Can you win? What have you done with this phenomenal brand and resources we have here in Waco for you? That's when we're going to see really what this coach is worth. So that third year is where I want to see, okay, what have you done with this program? Now this is yours 100%. All Kim Mulkey's recruits are gone. This is now your program, your team. What have you done with it? And if it's not in the Elite Eight, then we're going to have a conversation.
Man, boom. I think you've hit that. I think you've hit there's the 3 years. It's not a one-year deal. It's not a you've got to do X, Y, and Z in 1 year. It's a, hey, 3 years in, you'll reevaluate. I do want to mention with this that this hire, more so than any win, more so than any Big 12 championship or losing to Vic Schaefer or whatnot, this hire is based on culture. If you fit the culture in the first 3 years, if you show that you love and can embrace the community and you're a light for Baylor University, that you have that Christian mindset because that's what Mack Rhoades is looking for, then at that point, I consider your first 3 years a success, and I do believe wins are going to come with that. I think a culture fit is the A1 thing that needs to happen.
And creating
the A1 thing.
Absolutely. And creating your own brand of culture as well, because we saw Kim Mulkey, her culture within the basketball team was probably an off-brand version of what Mack Rhoades would have probably hired if it was his first year at Baylor. Like I think Armstrong said it last week on the show. Kim Mulkey wasn't probably in the description of what Mack Rhoades would have hired when he first took the job. Now, she won a lot, and Kim Mulkey was phenomenal as a Baylor legend, will be on the Mount Rushmore of women's college basketball coaches, not just Baylor college basketball coaches, women's college basketball coaches. So let's say that right now. But I'm with you. They need to have the culture of Baylor, and they also need to have their own culture they can bring that will run alongside in the same vein of what Baylor is looking for. And it's kind of interesting because we've seen several times with Mack Rhoades, they don't go after necessarily the biggest name like Texas. For example, you see Steve Sarkisian become available. Texas is like, okay, yeah, we want him. I don't think Baylor would have even batted an eye and been like, yeah, let's bring Steve Sarkisian in. I don't think that would have even been a thought for Mack Rhoades. So it is interesting to see how much they hire for culture, and that makes Baylor a really unique job across all sports.
I agree. And it's one of the few schools in the nation that can do the culture fit. They can hire for culture. For those of you that are just joining us, we've got a big show for you today. Kramer Robertson, the son of Kim Mulkey. Son of Kim Mulkey joins the show today at 12:05 to talk about what happened, to talk about why Kim Mulkey left Baylor. And it's really, I don't want to say tell all necessarily, but he gives a lot of really good insight into why Kim Mulkey left Baylor to go to LSU. And it's something. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Huge get by you. Huge get by you to sit down with the man and say, hey, talk to us. Talk to us, Kramer.
Tell me about it. So Kramer Robertson joins the show at 12:05. How about Sam Kahn? Sam Kahn coming on the show at 12:30 today from The Athletic to talk a little bit of Baylor football, Texas football, college football.
Yeah, the Texpert.
We love football. After that, Matthew Postins joins today's show at 1:05. But all this is tentative. I mean, I've already told Matthew Postins, said, listen, While we got you at 105, I wholly expect there to be a women's basketball coach in Waco at Baylor University by the time 105 hits today. And if that's the case, we're opening up the phone lines. We're talking about it. We're giving a rundown on who it is. And we're going to break down some more of these hires. So we got some texts here, some questions, and also a mailbag that we opened up on the SicEm365 forum. So we're going to take your questions from that, your comments from that, and have those on the air as well. I'll tell you, I had a dream. I was gonna have it. I was about to go to sleep last night. Okay. And I couldn't sleep. And I just kept thinking. And Armstrong knows this. Armstrong and I had a conversation about this when I walked in today. I couldn't go to sleep last night. And I'm just trying, I'm in like a full body sweat.
Oh no.
And I keep trying to fall asleep. Like I'm like, do I take melatonin? Do I take NyQuil? What do I do to go to sleep?
Gosh. Okay,
because I just wanted to sleep.
Yeah.
But there was one thought that kept running through my head nonstop that kept me awake. And it's kept me awake for the past like 4 nights in a row.
Oh no.
And it's solely, like this, it's gonna blow you away. It's solely the fact that Banson Business Services sponsors the first hour of SicEm365's Up Tempo. It's owned by Baylor grad and SicEm365 premium member Jonathan Green.
Gosh.
Banson Business Services offers a full suite of business support and financial services. They specialize in bookkeeping, payroll, outsourced CFO services, and consulting. They can help you with your taxes. Their business.
What does it do?
It helps you run your business.
No.
SicEm365.com/Banson, BAN. CIN. Banson. Don't let it keep you up at night.
Don't.
Do the right thing. SicEm365.com/Banson. Don't let it keep you up at night.
Banson, the Sleep Easy company.
I'm Drake Toll. That's J.D. PicKell, Armstrong Sims, Andrew Roberts, and Jack McKenzie. When we come back, we're going to open up the women's basketball coaching mailbag, talk more of that, and answer the questions that you have on who Baylor will hire, hopefully today. Don't go anywhere. This is Up Tempo.
Can you feel it? Happy Monday, Baylor Nation. The inevitable is on the horizon, with Baylor's ideal scenario being to hire a new women's basketball coach today. The fan base is on the edge of its seat. But as of 11 a.m. today, there is still no permanent coach at the helm of the Baylor women's basketball program. Names such as 2018 WNBA Coach of the Year Nikki Collin of the Atlanta Dream and Megan Duffy of Marquette have emerged as names at the forefront of the search. We'll keep you updated throughout the week as news breaks from Macroads offices. You can also stay up to date with insider coaching search information on SicEm365.com. Elsewhere in Baylor athletics, the softball team didn't let a little rain ruin their parade as the team swept Kansas over the weekend in a 3-game series in Waco. Game 1 ended in a 7-1 final, with Game 2 being played over the course of 2 days due to a weather delay, and ending while Sunday's Game 3 was a 6-1 blowout to sweep. And the tennis teams are geared up to find out their postseason fates, as the number 1 men's team in the country, your Baylor Bears, expected to be crowned the number 1 overall seed in the nation, and the number 8 women's team expects to host round 1 in Waco. And former Baylor football player William Bradley King came off the board over the weekend in the 7th round as the 240th overall pick in the draft. Bradley King was the only Baylor player selected. Around the horn and other college news, I'm pretty sure Kansas hired a football coach a few days ago, and we just didn't ever talk about it. Well, they've now got Lance Leipold at the helm of the squad after Leipold went 37-33 over his last 6 years, the coach of the Buffalo Bulls. He went 24-10 in his final 3 seasons. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
How can we help you? That's a question we ask every day at American Bank. Hi, I'm President and CEO Dana Hassel. Our commitment to our customers is what drives us. It's why we've invested in new branch buildings and technology like ITMs that let you speak to a teller face-to-face from your car. It's why we work with local businesses, helping Waco grow and thrive. And it's why decisions about your accounts and loans are made here in Waco by people who know you. How can we help you? Find out at American Bank, member FDIC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance, and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Texas Board Certified Personal Injury Trial Lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Ram Truck Month means special pricing on the new 2021 Ram trucks at Allen Samuels. The three-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab, has special values up to $5,500 or 0% for 84 months. Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, Central Texas' new Ram commercial truck headquarters with 3,500 and 5,500 chassis cabs and other great work trucks. Visit Allen Samuels today. It's Ram Truck Month.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Sit down, Bob. I'm not happy, Bob. Not happy.
Now, back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll and J.D. PicKell for the Blonde Boys Power Hour.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. I'm Drake Toll alongside J.D. PicKell, Armstrong Sims, Andrew Robertson, and Jack McKenzie. Happy Monday, everybody. It's the Monday of all Mondays that we expect Baylor to make a hire at the women's basketball coaching position to replace Kim Mulkey. We'll be joined in less than a half hour now by Kramer Robertson, the son of Kim Mulkey. Kim Mulkey's son. Coming on the show at 12:05 today to talk about why she left and what this move means for him and his family and how it has affected him and his family. I want to let you know, if you go on Google right now, the Google sphere, the internet, the interwebs, as the children would say.
Online.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi. If you go to Google right now and you Google the words Molly and Miller, both of those together. First thing, Molly Miller and Colt Haynes, unsolved mysteries. Molly Miller, Colt Haynes, disappearance, accidental 911 call.
Oh, my God.
Oklahoma's cold case files, the mysterious case of Molly Miller.
Oh, no.
What happened to Molly Miller and Colt Haynes?
Oh, no.
Molly Miller music. Family of Molly Miller officially declares her deceased. Unsolved, Molly Miller and Colt Haynes.
Is this going so... What happened to Molly Miller?
Basically, Molly Miller, the head coach at Grand Canyon University, has been trumped on the interwebs by Molly Miller, who was murdered in Wilson, Oklahoma on the evening of July 7th, 2013.
Rest in peace.
Oh, gosh. Dang.
So know that Baylor hiring Molly Miller would likely bring her fame status to that above Molly Miller that was murdered in Wilson, Oklahoma on the evening of July 7, 2013.
Well, poor Molly Miller. I mean, the other Molly Miller can't do anything. She's since passed on. That's horrific.
That's true.
Golly. Well, I mean,
that is true.
All right, there we go.
So, there we go. I did want to point out that in this case, Molly Miller is currently not the most famous Molly Miller that has ever existed on the planet Earth, according to Google. However, which if you also go to images, she is the 11th image that pops up.
Okay.
And so if she's hired by Baylor, that will change very quickly. That will change very, very quickly.
Yeah, that's one thing we talked about is if she comes to Baylor, if she is in fact the person, it'll be a whole new world in terms of coaching basketball. I mean, she'll never have to deal. I mean, she's never had to deal with the media like she will in Waco and us asking her questions. That's going to be horrible for her. Yeah. That'll be a whole new adjustment for her.
Start ringing the damn bell.
Yeah, then we're doing the dun, and then she's sitting right here and like
she is scared to death. She is scared.
It's going to be a learning curve. I hope she gets hype eventually.
It's going to be a learning curve.
Yeah.
So it lost in the WNBA semifinals. You know who did that in 2018? You know who lost in the WNBA semifinals?
In what year?
In 2018. You remember.
Becky Hammond.
Nope. The Atlanta Dream. The Atlanta Dream did under head coach Nikki Collin. Nikki Collin, 23-11 in her first year in Atlanta, 8-26 in year 2, 7-15 in 2020. Did not qualify for the playoffs the last 2 years. So year 1 goes really, really well for Collin, the WNBA coach of the year. Next 2 years, bit of a downtrend. Not really sure where that puts you with her, but she has been a successful recruiter in the college game. So there's her profile. What say you of that?
I think Collin would surprise me because she would be, like I said, a professional hire, which makes a little less sense right now. If you're to bring in someone from the big league, so to speak, I don't know what that does with current recruits. I don't know. I think that gives people a lot more license to say, okay, well, if I want to compete for a national title, I want to play the college game. That's great. You've been in the pros and you've had, it sounds like a stint in the college years, in the college game. I don't know what that means for this current base right now. So I'm cooler on Collins than I am on someone who's already been coaching successfully at the college game for a long, long time. So I mean, I like it. I don't love it. You know?
All right, so we go from Nikki Collin to Megan Duffy at Marquette. Megan Duffy, as a player, Minnesota Lynx, had a great WNBA career, New York Liberty, the Ronda Rebels. Okay. I thought that was a boxer. That was a female boxer. She played at Notre Dame, is a Notre Dame alumna, played under Muffet McGraw. She was a stud at Notre Dame as well. As a coach, Miami, Ohio, she went 21-11, then 23-9. Then jumped over from the Mid-American Conference to the Big East Conference at Marquette. She was 24-8, then 17-4 this past season. What say you about 36-year-old Megan Duffy?
Megan Duffy can coach. She can coach. I think I said she was 41, so I apologize, Megan Duffy, for saying you were 41 years old. I completely aged you there by 5 years, so my apologies. Please still come to Waco. But Megan Duffy makes a lot of sense because she is that younger profile, has been really successful on a smaller scale. I mean, obviously Marquette's still a great brand in basketball with women's basketball. Baylor's just a whole new ball game. So I really like her. I like the way that she would have to jump to Baylor. I don't think it's as much of a jump as it would be for some of these other candidates, excluding Bill Brock, and Collins would have to, I think, jump down, which would be an adjustment in itself. So the transition of her career would make a lot of sense to me. I know Notre Dame, like we said, was a possibility for her a year ago, was passed over, needed more time. Is one more season the experience she needed to be able to make that jump to a blue blood program? I think so, and we talked about it earlier. That's why she is my money down favorite for this job.
We're going through the coaching candidates right now, giving our thoughts and takes. Remember to hit the subscribe button on YouTube and also follow. Tell your friends. Say, hey, buddy, I know you're looking for information on the coaching search. Go to YouTube, go to Uptempo, watch it. SicEm365 app, Uptempo. We're live right now talking women's basketball. I want to give you this profile now. 180 wins, 17 losses, 91.4% winning percentage. Enter name here. Her teams defend with intensity, trapping as a trademark. The Panthers have guarded opponents from baseline to baseline while running from player-predicted motion and averaged 90 points per game. Entertaining style success has made this college in Division II draw 1,750 fans, despite only having 1,500 undergraduate students on campus.
Oh, wow. Is
1,700 fans.
Name and last name the same letter?
Yes, MM is her first name is M, her last name is M.
Alliteration.
Keen question. Are you saying the first letter?
Yes.
Yes, it is. What say you about Molly Miller?
Dude, she's awesome. Like, I think on paper, Molly Miller is the perfect hire in a lot of ways. Obviously, it's a big jump. So going back to what I just said about Duffy being a more natural transition, it'd be a big jump. But from what you said about her offensive production, the way her teams play, the fact she can draw a crowd, like, she would fit the mold entirely. I don't know how much in the conversation she is. I think you have more authority on that than I do. But Molly Miller is someone who I think would be great for this job. Can she recruit? Can she adapt to what Baylor would ask her to do? All these things are question marks, but you're never going to get 100% certainty with whoever you hire. So Molly Miller, I think, is someone who'd be great. Is she in the conversation? That's still, to me, very much unknown. But I would be a fan of Molly Miller, especially if she took this job. I think she'd be a great fit. I'm really basing all of this on the Scott Drew of 18 years ago. What was he like when he came to Baylor? Can we find someone similar to that profile? And she fits that in a lot of ways, as well as Duffy.
I'm trying to find the attendance numbers from this past season. Okay, I got some here. So for perspective,
is pre-COVID or
this is pre-COVID?
Okay,
pre-COVID.
Gotcha.
Molly Miller's Drury University, 1,500 undergrads, beat out Abilene Christian, beat out Air Force by 1,000 folks, had just 500 less than Alabama. These are the attendance numbers at these universities. Division II, beat out Alcorn by 1,500 fans, beat out Austin P, beat out Boston College.
Yeah.
Beat out Boston College for attendance at basketball games at Drury. Boise State.
I mean, she'd be fun to watch. I think the excitement's probably around this program, regardless of who they hire. But to go and watch a women's basketball team who's scoring 90 points a game, heck yeah, I'll go watch that. You kidding me? I'll be honest. I didn't go watch a lot of these games last year. I mean, obviously COVID. The year before that, I went to a few, but I'm just going to say I would love to go watch a basketball team that's trapping and scoring 90 a game. You have my ticket. Take all my hard-earned money. It's yours. I'm buying season tickets.
Boom. So Molly Miller has proven that she can get fans in the seats and have a big-time brand of basketball, 90 points per game, forced over 30 turnovers per game. Now this, another name that you brought up. She went to Loras. She was the head coach at Loras College, played at Canisius.
Oh, in New York, I think.
She was an assistant at Providence, an assistant at Dayton, an assistant at Northwestern, and now since 2016, she's been the head coach of the Dayton Flyers. And in her first year, she won the WBCA Maggie Dixon Rookie Coach of the Year after leading the team to 22-10, 13-3 in the A-10, and a berth in the Division I tournament in her first season at Dayton. That is Shauna Green. Thoughts on Shauna Green?
101-44 in her time at Dayton. I mean, she just knows how to win. She could drop the X's and O's. Again, I bring up, it would be an adjustment for her. I don't know what that compares like with Molly Miller or Duffy, but it would be an adjustment going from Dayton to Baylor. It'll be an adjustment for anyone who goes to Baylor from another program unless you go internally. So Green is someone that I really like. The fact that her teams give up 36% field goal percentage. On offense, 337 threes in 19 games. Again, take all of my money. And attendance won't be a problem for whoever comes in and coaches for Baylor. Baylor was top 10, I think, before COVID in terms of attendance. They were top 10 in the country. I think they were number 7. But I will go and watch. There will be even more excitement, I think, around Green just based on the style of play. I would love her, Molly Miller, Duffy. Those are probably my top 3 if we're not going Brock. But I would be really excited. And obviously, she can coach. Anytime you do it at a smaller program like Molly Miller has, like Duffy has, like Green has, the X's and O's won't be the problem. It'll be, can you be a fit culturally and can you recruit? Those are the 2 things we're going to see a lot of, I think, in terms of who this next person is.
And the final coaching profile that I want to give you, and we're not going to hit Bill Brock or Satia Messer because their coaching profiles mostly revolves around Baylor. We know those. They've been here. Standing at 5'11" from Mission Bay in San Diego, California.
Okay.
The head coach of the Arizona Wildcats, Adia Barnes.
So Adia Barnes, sorry, you were going to say something. I cut you off.
Adia Barnes, WNBA player, another one of those professional basketball players, coached as an assistant under Mike Neighbors at Washington, has been in Arizona since 2016. She was a WNBA champion. She's a first-team All-American. She was a Pac-10 Player of the Year, WNIT champion in 2019, and a Final Four attendee in 2021 as a head coach at Arizona. Her first team, 14-16. Her second team, 6-24. Then she won 24 games, 21 games, and made a Final Four run.
Adia Barnes is one of those names that we get really excited about because she's been a great coach. Now, culturally and price tag-wise, I don't know where she fits. Again, if Mack Rhoades wants Adia Barnes, he will find a way to get Adia Barnes. Culturally, again, I don't know Adia Barnes personally. I can just go off what I've seen in the visibility.
I thought you told me that you guys went to high school together.
Well, that's very, very low-key, very low-key.
Okay,
but Adia Barnes, we saw, I think it was in this year's Final Four, after they had beaten UConn, her mouthing a certain expletive and giving 2 middle fingers on camera. That could be a problem in the hiring process. I mean, in any interview process, you check the background, you see, okay, what's in your social media? That wasn't on social media. That was on ESPN. So I think that could be something that we look a little closer at. Again, I mean, maybe that wasn't her best moment. Maybe that doesn't even matter to Mack Rhoades. I don't know if that really tells too much about her character in the heat of the moment, beating UConn. Like, I'm sure I've said a lot of things in the heat of competition that aren't true to who I would like to believe I am. So all that's to say, Adia Barnes, that maybe makes me raise an eyebrow a little bit as to what she would be culturally in terms of fitting. But Adia Barnes, there's no argument she can coach. She'll be expensive, but she can coach.
She will be very much expensive. But hey, maybe, just maybe, there it is. All right, how about this? We're going to take a couple of these texts in here. Those are really coaches that I've narrowed it down to, those 5. But God only knows that it's going to come out today that Sarah Leviton, who is the assistant coach at Chippewa State University, will be Baylor's next head coach, and that we will fall in love with her.
Yep.
And she will be very successful. To be like, who? And then it's just what Mack Rhoades does, and they end up winning. And you're like, all right, fine.
And she'll be on the Mount Rushmore next to Mulkey.
This happened again.
Yep.
Like, that's just the rule thing where it's like he was at Temple. That's, like the people that are commenting out here like
First of all, type something more legible because that's all. I mean, we can't go off that.
Yeah,
We're having to
deduce. For those of you that are saying that,
yeah.
The ones that are saying that Molly Miller is just Division II, the same ones that are like, yeah, Matt Rule's at Temple. You can't win it. Like, you can't win here. It's Temple. Same thing. I know Temple and Drury University are very different, but also think about how tough it is at the top of Division II to recruit players.
Yeah.
Because those players are probably Division I caliber. They could go to a lower tier Division I. Why wouldn't they? You have to recruit them to stay in Division II.
Yeah. And to Drury, like you said, is it Missouri? Is that right? Somewhere
yes,
like that?
Drury's in Missouri.
To recruit anywhere in Missouri is impressive. To recruit anywhere and win in Missouri, extremely impressive. So, I mean, in terms of recruiting, I would love to see her get her hands on the Texas basketball talent.
Hopefully so. Maybe so. So there's, I don't know. Talk about the... So Juan Rivera says culturally, talking about Adia Barnes, and I think JD's solely referencing in culture that the thing she did on ESPN. You can't.
Oh, yeah.
It's very tough to come to Baylor.
Give me a break. Like,
very tough to come to Baylor on the double middle finger and then the F word and then be the head coach. Like, it's just a tough look.
It's a tough look.
It doesn't take her out of the race.
No.
But it's a tough look for a Baylor and what Mack Rhoades wants at the helm of that, like, PR, a very good PR. Along with that as well, there is, I don't know, looking at these texts that we're getting in right now. This one from Scotty B saying, huge weekend for Baylor softball. They're now third in the Big 12 because of the win. They won every game, and Texas lost every game this weekend.
You were on the mic. You were on the mic, were you not? Or was that?
Yeah, I was on the mic.
How was that?
Good weekend of softball. Crash says, tell Kramer I'm still bitter about the circus catch he made against us at Minute Maid in 2017. So thank you, Crash Davis. I will tell Kramer that. This says, Marshall Burns. Good morning, fellas. Up top. Congrats on moving to 1,000 YouTube subscribers. Still can't believe y'all haven't won an Emmy yet. My top 5 are Messer, Miller, Barnes, Duffy, and not Karen Aston. Not Karen Aston is on my top 5, too. Eric says, our boys showed that living by the 3 and playing great D can get you to a title. Eric and Lubbock. Very different games. The men's and women's games are very different.
Different games. Also, they made a lot of threes. So, I mean, they definitely live by it, but they made a lot of threes when it counted. And Davion Mitchell is unbelievable in terms of defense. Like, defense was definitely a huge part of why they were successful last year, in addition to making threes.
Yeah, so the women's basketball side of that is the three-point game is just it's different. It actually is different. Like, the teams that live and die by the 3 in the women's basketball game, there is more parity for those teams. So while they'll knock off teams, the consistency is not exactly there. This says Baylor women's basketball has made the Elite 9. Hold on. Wow. That's new.
What does
Has
that
made. I'm going to go with the Elite 8. We're going to say the Elite 8, 9. Okay. Has made the Elite 8 9 of the last 11 years with 2 national championships, 11 Big 12 championships in a row. The next coach needs to win the Big 12 and make the Elite 8 next year. I think so too. If the next coach only makes 1 Elite 8 the next 3 years, this hire is a colossal failure. Colossal is a very strong word there.
Colossal, it's a good word. I'm impressed they used that right there. Colossal failure? Are we sure? Yeah.
Colossal.
I guess. I mean,
that's a lot. That's a
colossal. That's a lot of weight to put on the next head coach.
That's so much failure.
Yeah.
That's an insane amount of failure for it to be colossal. This says, I heard Gordon Bombay has been interested in the job.
Wow. Stepping down from the Mighty Ducks. That's
Gordon
huge.
Bombay?
Gordon Bombay, former coach of the Mighty Ducks.
No kidding.
They're coming out with it. Wow. Actually, I just got confirmation from Jack Wheeler. Jack Wheeler sent that. I just got confirmation he will not. They're actually coming out with another Mighty Ducks.
No.
They are coming out with another Mighty Ducks.
So non-compete doesn't work there, does it?
Nope, can't do it.
I'm over these remakes.
This says, I know you guys aren't going to want to hear this, but Baylor will not hire an African-American coach. I don't think that's right.
Based on what?
Yeah,
that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Won't hire an African-American coach. That is, what is that based on?
Jerome Tang's basically the men's basketball coach with Todd
I'm sort of disappointed we even gave that a second look. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I did, because here's the deal. Someone sends us a message. I want to address it on the show, and I'm glad we addressed that.
Not disappointed in you. I'm disappointed at the fact that they got to have their word out there. I think that's stupid.
Right. I wanted to address the fact that that's not true.
Of course. No,
that's not true.
Not on you at all. No. Not coming at you at all.
I did want to address the fact
I love it.
This says hard pass on Barnes, Duffy, or Miller are my choices. This says look up the stats on South Dakota head coach Don Piltzu-White. Plit.
Could they use that in a sentence?
Piltzu-White.
Language of origin.
Hold on. Don, listen, that's the thing.
They're just making up people right now?
That's the thing. This is who Mac Rhodes would hire.
Where do these people come from?
This is who Mac Rhodes would hire. Hold on. This is a random texter, too. What if this is Mac Rhodes, like, just on a burner account?
Ooh.
That's like, hey.
I think you're on to something.
Yeah.
Just throwing alley-oops.
We can't tell you directly, but
here she is.
Let's check this out.
South Dakota's.
You got it.
Oh, it's a woman.
Plitzel-White. Yeah, Dawn.
Oh, D-A-W-N.
Dawn.
Interesting. Okay.
So she has an 81% win percentage, overall winning percentage.
Tie.
And 88% win percentage in league games. Guys, did we just find Baylor's new head coach?
I think I think it's about to break.
No. We did not.
I feel like
did we just find
a little bit.
Don Plitzu-White?
Don't even try.
I will not. There's a lot of consonants in that name. There's a lot of consonants. No.
Continents?
She went to Michigan Tech.
She's from a lot of places.
She was a coach at Michigan Tech too.
That's not a real place.
I've never heard of this.
Michigan Tech?
Michigan Tech?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that place.
They play at the Little House. Yeah. Michigan gets the big house. Michigan Tech gets the Little House.
Career winning record as a head coach of 317 wins and 123 losses. 13 NCAA tournament appearances in Division I and Division II. 26 years of coaching. Guys, remember the name.
We don't even know the name.
I can't even pronounce the name.
I can't even. I will never remember that name.
Don Plitzup.
It's like a 45,000 point word in Scrabble.
Yeah.
That
gets you a lot.
Big money in Scrabble.
Big money. All right, here we go, folks. It is time for what we do every Monday, and that's Music Monday. We're going to play some music on this Monday and see if we know these songs. Call us right now. You have 17 seconds to call this show. 254-339-1122. I always forget to plug in callers with this. Andrew's going to play with us as well. And when we come back from the break after Music Monday, Kramer Robertson joins the show. You have 7 seconds now to call us at 254-339-1122. The time is waning. We're playing Music Monday. Armstrong's going to play 5 songs. We're going to guess what those 5 songs are based off of what they are. All right.
I like it.
I'm Drake Toll. That's J.D. PicKell, Andrew Robertson, Armstrong Sims, because I'm doing a roll call.
Okay.
Here.
Yeah, Andrew's playing too.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, he is.
All right. And no one's calling. So I know I should have asked earlier and people would have called. And I will give away
it's too late.
Yep.
That's
all
too
right.
late.
Let's play it.
Start.
Run that back, Turbo.
Run it.
Are you on it, A-Rob?
Arms to hug with, lips to kiss with, someone to...
Yes. I think I got 5 maybe?
Out of 5?
5 points out of 10.
Bro, I don't doubt that.
I think I might get a
Today was all over the map. I was like, I'm gonna pull out, just make this difficult.
Drake, do you have any?
Because sometimes I'm like, oh, that's too difficult.
Yeah, I have none. So.
Sometimes I make it and I'm like, that's too difficult. And then I end up making it too easy, and then Drake gets like 10. So today I'm like, I'm not holding back.
Okay, you just emptied the clip today.
You could have held back maybe a little bit.
You said all Madden mode. You said all Madden mode. All right.
I'm not holding back anymore on this.
Wait,
Let's play it again.
I love it.
We're playing it again?
Dang it, yeah.
Great. All right, spectacular. That'll help.
Today's the day.
Does your memory stray?
Actually, I don't know that one.
Arms to hug with, lips to kiss with, someone to.
All right, I'm substantially less confident on the second listen, but I still think I got 3 points.
All right, that's good. That's good.
I kind of want to opt out at this point.
No,
Really?
you're.
I don't.
I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt as well. So I'm with you.
Let's go with the first one. Oh, let me just think. Okay, the first one.
Is the first one Bobby Darin?
First one's by Elvis Presley.
You're
It
correct.
did sound like Elvis Presley.
Seriously?
Is it
Elvis Presley.
Wow.
Anyone got a title?
Hound Dog? No, I don't know.
Oh my gosh. No.
Wait. Elvis Presley. Gosh, no, I don't know.
It was Are You Lonesome Tonight?
Wouldn't have got that.
I mean, yeah.
By Elvis Presley.
Wouldn't have got that. Fish in the dark.
So that one was more,
No, that's by
I feel like you could just get the artist. The second one. Anyone got anything for the second one?
Dude, I thought it was Owl City Fireflies, but it's not. I have no idea who it is.
I love that song. I would have gotten that.
For a second, I was like, is that maybe the lead-in? I have no idea what that is.
That was Bulletproof Picasso by Train.
Oh, yeah. Never heard that song. I like Train, though.
The third song is by Radiohead.
It's by Paramore. It's Ain't It Fun.
Dang it.
Absolutely correct.
I got Ain't It Fun, but I did not know the artist. So.
Yeah, absolutely correct, JD.
That's the rest I have.
JD.
I don't know any of the other
All right.
ones.
I'm on the board.
Anyone got anything for the fourth song?
Good. Sinatra.
No. Anyone?
Wait. It's the guy that sings Ted Williams.
No.
We're a group of 5 school in the playoff, baby. We made it. Mom, I'm coming home.
That was, the fourth song was I've Got Plenty to Be Thankful For by Bing Crosby. I thought just the voice, y'all would be able to get Bing Crosby.
Christmas. I knew it was Christmas.
Of course.
It's not a Christmas song,
But
actually.
he is Christmas. Bing Crosby is
Don't
Christmas.
put him in that box.
Bing Crosby.
Don't put him in that box.
Caging Bing Crosby.
He is more than Christmas.
Bing
I'll
Crosby.
be honest, I don't even know Bing Crosby. I'm going to be honest with you.
Bing? We go
You don't
back.
know Bing Crosby?
I don't know Bing Crosby, but I know Paramore.
Ever
Ain't It
seen
Fun.
White
I know
Christmas?
Elvis Presley.
I know Elvis Presley. That's about it.
We're riding that.
You don't know Bing Crosby?
5.
I'd love to.
All right, number
is
5.
Somebody's Baby.
Mm-hmm.
And it's by like a Duran Duran. But it's not Duran Duran.
Toto.
Toto's a great guess, actually.
No.
Night. Hall & Oates.
Nope. All right, JD wins. That was
go.
Somebody's Baby by Jackson Brown.
Jackson Brown.
I'd like to
But
thank
JD did
the
win.
Academy. I'd like to
Is
thank
that
my
your first
mom.
dub? Is that your first dub?
Dude, this is probably the first dub.
This show started January 4th, and that's JD's first Music Monday.
Don't be salty. Went to all Madden, and I just went crazy mode
I'm
on
sorry,
it.
Armstrong played every song from like the 40s. I
That's
never
a
would
great
have gotten
point.
there.
Paramore is from the
Who are these
2000s.
guys?
Two of those are from
Typically-
this century. That's actually more than usual.
Holla at me. Holla at me.
Wow.
Went to all Madden, your boy clutched out.
When we come back from this break, Kramer Robertson. You know who Kramer Robertson is?
I know Kramer Robertson. Close personal friend.
Son of Kim Mulkey. Well, he's got an illustrious baseball career. We're not going to be talking about too much of that. It's going to be all Kim Mulkey, why she left Baylor, and what is next for her and Kramer Robertson, her family at LSU. Kramer Robertson joins this show right after this break. Don't go anywhere. I'm Drake Toll, J.D. PicKell, Armstrong Sims, Andrew Robertson, and Jack McKenzie. When we come back, Kim Mulkey's son joins the show. This is Up Tempo.
Can you feel it? Happy Monday, Baylor Nation. The inevitable is on the horizon, with Baylor's ideal scenario being to hire a new women's basketball coach today. The fan base is on the edge of its seat. But as of 11 a.m. today, there is still no permanent coach at the helm of the Baylor women's basketball program. Names such as 2018 WNBA Coach of the Year Nikki Collin of the Atlanta Dream and Megan Duffy of Marquette have emerged as names at the forefront of the search. We'll keep you updated throughout the week as news breaks from Mac Road's offices. You can also stay up to date with insider coaching search information on SicEm365.com. Elsewhere in Baylor athletics, the softball team didn't let a little rain ruin their parade as the team swept Kansas over the weekend in a 3-game series in Waco. Game 1 ended in a 7-1 final, with Game 2 being played over the course of 2 days due to a weather delay, and ending while Sunday's Game 3 was a 6-1 blowout to sweep. And the tennis teams are geared up to find out their postseason fates. As the number 1 men's team in the country, your Baylor Bears, expected to be crowned the number 1 overall seed in the nation, and the number 8 women's team expects to host round 1 in Waco. And former Baylor football player William Bradley King came off the board over the weekend in the 7th round as the 240th overall pick in the draft. Bradley King was the only Baylor player selected. Around the horn and other college news, I'm pretty sure Kansas hired a football coach a few days ago, and we just didn't ever talk about it. Well, they've now got Lance Leipold at the helm of the squad after Leipold went 37-33 over his last 6 years, the coach of the Buffalo Bulls. He went 24-10 in his final 3 seasons. I'm Armstrong Simpson. That's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up-Tempo.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Listen, in the past couple of years, we've had a lot of people moving in from out of state to Waco thanks to Chipper and JoJo. And while we welcome these new citizens, they unfortunately brought some of their bad habits with them. Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters, and you know what I'm talking about. Naked trucks. You'd think everyone moved here from McNewtville. But we shouldn't judge them, we should help them. For example, when you see a recent transplant truck from a less civilized state like California, instead of saying, "Your truck is disgusting, your bed is exposed, get a bed cover on that truck, buddy," that's a bit harsh. Instead, try something like, in Texas, it's not polite to drive around with your bed exposed. Maybe you should check out the excellent selection of bed covers at Pickup Outfitters. And then if they refuse, you can say, "Well, I hear New Mexico's a nice state." Let's help our new neighbors and let them know that truck nudity is not okay. Let them know about Pickup Outfitters of Waco and send them to our website, createacommotion.com.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Cynthia!
Jesus died for our Cynthias.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll.
Welcome back to the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Drake Toll here alongside Kramer Robertson. And Kramer, I know you got a lot to say. I know you got a lot on your mind, especially this last week with your mom, Kim Mulkey, moving from Baylor University to LSU, now moving back home to Louisiana. And that's where I want to start. Home. That word for Kim Mulkey, for you, for your family, what does that mean and how big was that in this decision?
I think that was the main factor. Obviously I had my time at LSU 4 years there. And the reason I left Waco for Baton Rouge was, to get out of the spotlight of Kim Mulkey and to create my own name, my own legacy. But being down there and learning the culture and what Baton Rouge and Louisiana is really like, it really is a special place. And so I understood now and understand now why it means so much to her. And you listen to her say home, and she's going back home to the people, she grew up with and did so much for her. And with a lot of negativity around LSU and Louisiana the last year or so, I think she really feels a responsibility to be a beacon of light for them, just as she was for Baylor in dark times. So definitely going home was the main factor in her decision to leave Baylor.
Kramer, when you think about your baseball games at LSU and your mom coming and being in the stands and folks taking pictures with her and her being, a big show at LSU before she was even an employee for LSU, is that part of this, the way the fan base embraces her?
It could be. I think that even more so than that, she grew up there and she had such a successful high school career, Little League baseball career. So even before I went to LSU, she knew what it was like down there. And then now going back there when I was playing, they absolutely embraced her every day and made her feel loved and welcome because, like we've been saying, that is home, and those are her people that she was around her whole life. So I don't know if me being there had any factor in it. I think even if I didn't go to LSU, this still could have happened because this Baton Rouge is 40 minutes from where she grew up, and but I'm sure it didn't hurt, her being around that and seeing those people and them embracing her so much when I was there.
Kramer, I want to go back to Kim's legacy at Baylor because obviously it's historic. 21 seasons in Waco, 3 national championships. I want to take you back and I want to know what you remember from the day that she inked the dotted line, stood on the podium in the Farrell Center and became Baylor's head coach. I know you were young. Do you remember anything about that?
I remember everything about it. I was 5-6 years old. I remember crying at the end of her bed and when we were still in North Louisiana, begging her not to go. And I just can remember telling me that, this just felt right in her heart. This is where she needs to be. Something's telling her she needs to go there. And it's emotional to think back for both of us, for my whole family, because Waco and Baylor was so great to my family, so great to my mom. She built that program from the ground up. So it's difficult to leave something like that. A community that embraced us as one of their own and was so good to us. So I'm grateful for every memory that I had in Waco, from the national championships, the highs, the lows, and getting to be by her side. I got to experience a lot of things that a lot of kids didn't get to experience. And the people of Waco and Texas were so good to my mom. And I know she's so grateful for that.
Kramer, when you think back to those moments and then to the national championship in 2005, and there are all the pictures of you with her at the different championships that she won, when did Baylor become home for not just her, but you, the entire family, for a Louisiana girl?
So she's a Louisiana girl, and she'll never get that out of her. She moved to Texas and lived there for 20 years. Well, I'm a Texas boy, and I'm always going to be a Texas boy. Waco's always going to be home to me. That's where I grew up. That's where I made my friendships. That's where I went to high school and did so many things. So Texas is like a second home to her, and Louisiana is like a second home to me. So I'm always going to consider myself a Texas boy. I don't know if there was a certain, time where, the aha where, this is home for me. That's just where I grew up. It's all I know. And I'm proud to be from Texas. And I'll always say that I'm from Texas.
Kramer, with that, I want to stick right there for a second. When you think about Baylor and you being around Baylor for 20 years, 2 decades, What does the university, that name Baylor, what does that mean to you?
It means so much to me. I didn't go to school there, but my mom obviously had all the success in the world there. My sister, that's her alma mater. My brother-in-law, that's his alma mater. So we're always going to be Baylor fans, and we're going to root for Baylor every game that they're not playing LSU now. My mom left that program in great hands. I'm sure they're going to get a great hire, and it's going to be continued success. It might not be exactly what it was, and it may be. Who knows? But it's in great shape. She left that program in a lot better shape than when she got it, and it'll always mean a lot to me. It'll always mean a lot to my mom, and we'll always be a part of Baylor University, and we'll always be rooting for them.
Kramer, I know there are a lot of Baylor fans that are upset to see your mom go. She's a legend. She's a legend in Waco. And in my opinion, she built Baylor athletics into what it is today. The success that Baylor is, the brand that it is on a national scale, starts with Kim Mulkey. For you and your family and what you heard from your mom, does your family still love Baylor University, that same Baylor she came to 2 decades ago?
Absolutely. We still love and will always love Baylor University, and we'll be so grateful for everything that it gave to us. As much as she gave to that university, I'm sure she'll tell you the same thing. She's even more grateful for what it gave back to her and what the people there gave back to her. That's the hardest part about leaving, even to go home to LSU and be in a great program there. And it's going to have to be a little bit of a rebuilding, but it's so difficult to leave something so special and that was so great. But, like I said, Baylor University athletics is in a great spot. The basketball team just won a national championship. The football team's back and being great. And there's so many great programs there. We're always going to be thankful, and we're always going to be rooting for Baylor University because we love it. That's home to me.
Kramer, when you think specifically about your mom's legacy that she left at Baylor, what Kim Mulkey means to Baylor, what is that legacy that's still in Waco that has the Mulkey name tied to it?
You're never going to be able to talk about Baylor sports without talking about Kim Mulkey. She's on the Mount Rushmore of Baylor athletics and will always be. Like you said, I don't know what Baylor athletics would be today if she was never there. She not only had such a great program, but she had such a voice in the athletic departments and the academic departments. She graduated every player that played that stayed for 4 years. Those things mean so much to her. So I think you'll never be able to talk about Baylor athletics without bringing up Kim Mulkey's name, because she had such a big impact on not only women's basketball, but she had her hand in every sport there. And, I hope that she can do that at my alma mater now at LSU and can be a beacon of light in a time that they need it. Because when she came to Baylor, they needed a beacon of light. There was bad things going on before Scott Drew got there with the men's basketball program, and then he got there and it was a beacon of light. So I just feel like she feels a calling at LSU like she did at Baylor, where they need her. And hopefully she can just have a little bit of the success that she had at Baylor. And if she does, then it'll be a job well done.
Kramer, in your opinion and what you've heard from Kim in your conversations, was there another university in this country that she would have left Baylor for?
Absolutely not. There's not a single university with endless amounts of money that she would have left Baylor for. The only one is LSU because, like we've been saying, we've been using the word home a lot, but it is home. And if you have an opportunity to go to a place that needs you, that really wants you, and it's home for you, that's hard to turn down. But even doing it, I know I talked to her on the phone for many hours, and that was the hardest thing. It was leaving Baylor, leaving such a great university that was so great to her. The people were so great to her, and she was emotional on the phone. The public doesn't see that side of it. They just see her excited and fist pumping at LSU, but it tore her apart to have to leave some of the people in Waco, Texas, and leave Baylor University because of how much it means to her.
Kramer, along with that, those conversations, I saw you tweeted. I mean, it's one of the toughest secrets you've had to ever keep. And when you first started to hear the murmurs, I know a lot of folks didn't think it was real. When did it become a reality for you that Kim Mulkey would be coaching at your alma mater?
When the rumors started flying and the LSU women's basketball head coach had resigned, moved on, obviously I called her and talked to her, and she said that she had not heard anything. And so I didn't think much of it at the time. And then a few days later, she called me late at night before going to bed. and said that they had offered her a deal, and they had offered it much more than she ever thought that they could offer. They matched the money and more and some, which that's hard for people to believe, but for her, she's made money. It was not about the money. Yes, they had to match what Baylor did, but that's not the reason she went there. But that's when it became real, is when she told me, hey, they matched the money. I have a decision to make here. We both weighed the pros and cons of it, and it was an emotional conversation. It was difficult. But when she called me that night, probably 5 or 6 days before it was announced that they had offered her and they had come with a strong offer, that's when I was like thinking, wow, this could really happen. And then a couple of days later, she called me and said that she thinks she's going to take it. But she just has to make things right in Waco, and that she needs to talk to her team. She needs to talk to the people that she cares so much about in the community and let them know before it comes out. So I couldn't say anything. And it was a difficult secret for me to keep, because as many relationships as she has in Waco, that's how many I have in Baton Rouge that I'm really close with, and my phone was ringing off the hook, and I couldn't be disrespectful to Baylor, my mom, or LSU and leak the news. But I was obviously excited because it's my alma mater, and I know what LSU is, and I know how much she'll mean to that university, just as much as she meant to Baylor University. So it was difficult for me to keep, because I was excited, but I was also at the same time torn and emotional, thinking about leaving all the people in Waco and Texas.
Kramer, you talked about the emotions on her end, on Kim's end, and really how she felt about leaving Baylor. What are those things? Where does she revere Baylor? Where does she hold Baylor in her heart still? And in making that move, obviously you said that it made it tough for her. What were some of the things that she warred with when it came to leaving Waco and leaving her legacy that she'd left at Baylor?
The first thing we talked about was her team. You recruit those kids from when they're in high school and they get there, and you feel, and she's such a loyal person. She always has been. So to leave the team that she worked with every day, and the recruits that were coming in, some of them she'd been recruiting since 8th grade. She just torn up over that. That was awful. I'm sure there were tons of tears shed when she told her team and told those recruits. That was the main thing we talked about. And then the people that she had such great relationships with in Waco. I know they're devastated, and she knows that, and that hurts her. But I told her, I said, you've made every decision in your life for my sister, for me. You've put everybody in front of you. It's time to make a decision for Kim Mulkey, a decision that'll make you happy. And I think going to LSU and being back home to retire, whether it's 5 years, whether it's 8 years, however much longer she does it, she can retire there, be close to her mom. She's getting older. I think that truly makes her happy to her core.
Kramer, one of the last questions that I have for you, when it comes to this decision, you talked about going home, her being with her own mother, who's aging, and her being able to be near her so much closer, and just every prospect of helping LSU come out of a dark time and her being the light of that. Is there anything that Baylor University could have done in this decision to make it different?
I don't know if that's for me to say. There's always there's always going to be disagreements and things that, she wishes that could have been different. And I don't know if I can speak on exactly what those things are. But at the same time, everything that, every disagreement she had, Baylor gave her so much. Baylor gave her all the resources. Baylor gave her all the money. So I don't think that when it comes down to it, there's anything that they could have done to keep her. She already making a lot of money, a little bit of a salary raise. I don't know if, people say naming the court after her, this and that and the other. Those are all, little things that, might be big to her. But when it comes down to it, I don't think there was any way she's going to turn down retiring in her home state with the people that she grew up with, her mother who's getting older. I think that this was just in her heart to go there, just like it was when she left Louisiana Tech after 20 years of playing and being an assistant coach. And that was extremely difficult on her as well. But look what happened. Look, who knows what would have happened at Baylor University if she didn't do that. And she told me she's just getting that same feeling in her heart that it's just time. The timing is right. The people down there need her. The state needs her. The university needs her. And it's going to be bigger than just winning, because she was bigger than just winning at Baylor University and in Waco, Texas. So I'm hoping that she can do for LSU what she did for Baylor, and that's give people positivity and give people hope and have something for those people to look forward to.
Kramer, when it comes to her move to LSU, I saw the pictures of you guys in Baton Rouge pretty quickly after she landed. And being 20 years at a certain place, walking into the same office for 2 decades, you can lose your spark very easily. Does it feel like she's got a new rejuvenation being back home and around people that she grew up around, the area she grew up around being at LSU?
I think so. And it's cool to see your mom happy and have that twinkle in her eye when she looks around and sees so many people that she knows, and now they're rooting for her because it's their university. So I could just see the happiness in her face when she was there. When the people she was talking to, walking around campus, seeing everything, it was really neat to see her that bubbly and just genuinely that excited to be home and just to go get crawfish and go get a po' boy. She couldn't wait to tell me yesterday after she threw the first pitch out at the LSU baseball game wearing my jersey. She couldn't wait to call and tell me, like, you're not going to believe it, I'm eating crawfish and having a po' boy. Like, she's just happy. And whether she ever wins a national championship there, whether she ever wins an SEC championship there, that's not going to take away from her happiness. As competitive as she is, she's home, she's happy. And as a child, you love to see that with your mom, especially when you can't be there and be with her. You know that she's in good hands, and you know that she's home and she's happy, and that makes me happy.
Yeah, Kramer, you mentioned her, but for you to see your mom at your alma mater wearing the purple on the podium, I mean, they're shooting fire out of the cannons as she's walking into the arena. Your emotions. I mean, was there ever a point where you really paused and reflected on how big this is for you personally, her being at your alma mater?
Yeah, it's so full circle. Because those same people that were standing up, giving her a standing ovation, were the same people who were cheering for me and who were so great to me when I was at LSU. So I love getting to share this with her and be a part of it. And now I'm going to be the one in the stands at LSU cheering her on. And it's just cool because when I was there, she could never wear an LSU shirt or say "Go Tigers" or anything like that. She would wear basic yellow shirts with nothing on it. So it is cool to, now I'll get to go to football games and cheer on LSU football with her and do all these things that I got to do, but now I get to have my mom at my side with me. So it means so much to me. It means so much to me that now we can celebrate those big LSU wins together instead of her giving me hell about Alabama always beating us and we can't beat Alabama, because she loves Nick Saban. She's a big Nick Saban fan, so she was always ripping me and giving me a hard time when Alabama football would beat us. So now she's going to get to cheer him on with me.
Wow. Kramer, last question for you here. And I know you talked about full circle, and this kind of applies to both LSU and Baylor. 10 years from now, 15 years from now, when Kim Mulkey retires from Louisiana State University, and in that time, will she be able to still put a Baylor shirt on and wear it proudly?
My hope is one day when this is all said and done, whether it's 5 years, 8 years, I don't know how much longer she wants to do it. I really don't. My hope is she'll be invited back into Waco and they'll have a ceremony, something where her name will hang in the rafters, because that's what she built there. And that's what she deserves there. And I know that she would do that with open arms, because she loves Baylor University and will always love Baylor University and be thankful. So I'm hoping that, one day she can be in the LSU Hall of Fame. She's already in the Baylor Hall of Fame, but I think it'd be pretty neat one day after it's all said and done, like Peyton Manning going back to the Colts or Tom Brady back to the Patriots. I think it'd be really cool to have her back in Waco one day, because I know how much it means to her, and we definitely know how much she means to Baylor University and the Waco community. So that's my hope for both sides one day to reunite.
I love it. Kramer, thanks so much for joining us on the show today. Pleasure to get your perspective. And I think I speak on behalf of all of Baylor Nation and know that it means a lot to understand that you, your mom, your entire family still revere Baylor as a place that means so much to each of you. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll always be special to us. And I can't say enough how grateful we really are for Baylor University and the people of Waco.
Well, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're talking more Baylor women's basketball. This is Up Tempo.
Can you feel it? Happy Monday, Baylor Nation. The inevitable is on the horizon, with Baylor's ideal scenario being to hire a new women's basketball coach today. The fan base is on the edge of its seat. But as of 11 a.m. today, there is still no permanent coach at the helm of the Baylor women's basketball program. Names such as 2018 WNBA Coach of the Year Nikki Collin of the Atlanta Dream and Megan Duffy of Marquette have emerged as names at the forefront of the search. We'll keep you updated throughout the week as news breaks from Macroads offices. You can also stay up to date with insider coaching search information on SicEm365.com. Elsewhere in Baylor athletics, the softball team didn't let a little rain ruin their parade as the team swept Kansas over the weekend in a 3-game series in Waco. Game 1 ended in a 7-1 final, with Game 2 being played over the course of 2 days due to a weather delay, and ending while Sunday's Game 3 was a 6-1 blowout to sweep. And the tennis teams are geared up to find out their postseason fates, as the number 1 men's team in the country, your Baylor Bears, expected to be crowned the number 1 overall seed in the nation, and the number 8 women's team expects to host round 1 in Waco. And former Baylor football player William Bradley King came off the board over the weekend in the 7th round as the 240th overall pick in the draft. Bradley King was the only Baylor player selected. Around the horn and other college news, I'm pretty sure Kansas hired a football coach a few days ago, and we just didn't ever talk about it. Well, they've now got Lance Leipold at the helm of the squad after Leipold went 37-33 over his last 6 years, the coach of the Buffalo Bulls. He went 24-10 in his final 3 seasons. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up-Tempo.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive at 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's a name and a memory that called us back. It's a belief and a labor that will carry us forward. It's a time and experience that will make you return. The new Bear Ridge Golf Club, a space revitalized, a course restored, a new experience. For a tee time today, call the Pro Shop at 254-848-7800. Go to BearRidgeWaco.com, just south of Waco on Highway 84. Come join us at Bear Ridge Golf Club.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
No capes. Do you remember Thunderhead? Tall, storm powers. Nice man. Good with kids.
Listen. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Diner guy, snag on takeoff. Splashdown, sucked into a vortex. No capes.
Here's Drake Toll and Armstrong Sims.
And welcome back into Up Tempo. I'm J.D. PicKell, and now we are joined by a very special guest, the authority figure on all things college football in the great state of Texas. The Techspert, Sam Kahn Jr. of The Athletic joins us. Sam, first off, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Man, I'm a lot better now. I'll tell you that. I'm a lot better now. I'm excited to get into this and pick your brain on the best state in college football.
Yeah, this is we care about it a little bit differently over here than just about everywhere else. So I'm excited that it's spring football wrapped up in a lot of places. I think SMU is still going, but for the most part, we're wrapping it up, and now it's time to look ahead to the media days and recruiting. That's opening back up, and then of course the season in a few months. So it's an exciting time.
And I was going to say, as I know you were probably running all over creation trying to get to these spring games and cover all that. Were you able to catch any of Baylor's? I know you saw Texas last week. Were you just on the road these last few weeks, or what's it been like for you?
Yeah, it's been a busy few weeks for me. I went to Baylor a few weeks ago, about middle of early April. Cool. Visited with Coach Aranda and the coordinators there and some of the other football staffers, and got to take a peek at what Baylor's doing. I went to Texas Tech the week after that, went to Lubbock for a few days and visited with that staff and got to see their spring game. Went to Austin last week and saw Texas spring game. I also went down I live down in Houston, but I also went down and saw Dana Holgerson and his staff last week. I will try to go to SMU and hopefully stop by TCU next week, even though they are wrapping up. But I got to peek a little bit at the spring game for Baylor. I got to catch a few snippets here and there, not enough to get a good grasp on all 85 scholarship guys I got, but definitely enough to see and get a feel for kind of the way the wind is blowing in Waco right now.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it is just practice 15 for all these schools. But when it comes down to it, you mentioned it. What is the buzz right now about Baylor, and as the college football landscape is concerned?
I think it's curiosity for the most part, because last year was so unconventional, and certainly it was that way for everybody, but it was particularly that way for Dave Aranda and his staff, because asking a staff to build a new culture and new schemes and an entirely new identity, given the restrictions that they had with no spring football and doing everything on Zoom, was extremely challenging, and especially with a first-year head coach. I think it'd be different if it was somebody who had already been a head coach, who had already established the way he does things. Dave Aranda was really learning on the fly. So I think the fact that last year went so off track, and I think we all know that from what they were in 2019 as an 11-win team, that was not necessarily a 2-win team last year, even though that's what the record bore out. So I think it's curiosity, because I think people want to know, okay, what is this team really? Are they closer to the 11 wins that they were in 2019, or are they closer to a team that's still rebuilding as it seemed to be last year?
And where do you see them in that process? How much improvement can the Baylor faithful expect from their Bears this fall?
I think you'll see a little bit. I would be shocked if they don't at least go to a bowl game this year. I think they should at least be in that conversation. Defensively, you've got to feel good because they've got some returning talent that I think is exciting, and then they've added some pieces. And you also are entering the second year with your defensive coordinator, Ron Roberts. I think anytime you have continuity, that helps, so guys know what they're supposed to do and how to do it, and you can get better at that part. I think the offense is going to be a work in progress because it's all new. Last year, obviously, it was a little bit tough to watch because they were a little bit of a mess offensively, but I think with Jeff Grimes here, established a little bit of identity. I think once you figure out who the quarterback is and what the skill set that you need to build around, then we'll have a little bit clearer direction. But we know what he wants to do offensively, and we know what kind of team Baylor will be offensively. So I think that you have those two things established. I think you will see some significant improvement in year two for Dave Aranda.
It definitely feels like adjustment is sort of a word to use when you're talking about this Baylor program. How much has Dave Aranda adjusted to being a head coach in general? Because before Baylor, I mean, he had never done it. There were questions about, does he even really want to be a head coach? How has he adjusted when you went and visited with him?
A lot better this year than last. And, that was one thing that I found fascinating was how candid he was and how introspective he was about his challenges last season. He admitted fully that maybe he wasn't ready for this, that he didn't. I think he understood that how to do things as a head coach is way different than the way he could do things as a coordinator. As a coordinator, he could kind of lay in the background, focus on schemes, on X's and O's, and that was what his primary part of his day was and primary part of his game week. Now, as a head coach, you have a lot more responsibilities. You've got to establish a culture for your players. You have to shake hands with boosters, and obviously not as much in this last year, but, having a relationship with people outside the program, be in the face of a program every day. Dave was not somebody who talked to the media all the time at LSU. LSU didn't really make coordinators available very often when he was over there. That now talking to us is a regular part of the job for Dave, and it's one that he does very well, but it's something that he didn't have to do. So that's another thing that's a time suck for him in this job. So managing all that, managing how you want your team to look, the identity of it, all those were a learning experience for him last year. And I think hearing him discuss those challenges and the way he learned from them, I think you find that he has got a much tighter grasp on all that and how he needs to divide his time and how he needs to run his program in year two.
And in terms of a first year, like the circumstances you could have going into your first year, he probably had the worst outside of having a new quarterback, which he had some longevity there with Charlie Brewer, but pandemic, new offensive staff, all these things that just were working against him. When you visited with him, did he seem comfortable? Is that a word you would use to describe him right now?
Absolutely. A lot more comfortable than he would have been a year ago. And I think that's because he understands what exactly he wants in his program. Now, what he wants to look like, what he wants the offensive identity to be. That was one thing that he was candid about, was having the offensive staff hires he did last year with George Munoz and Larry Fedora, that trying to blend offensive philosophies to a certain extent turned out to go a little bit against what he wanted his team to be offensively. Jeff Grimes, with the way they're going to be a little bit more physical up front, they're going to run the ball. There's going to be some under center. I think it jives a little bit more with what he thinks his team should be. There, obviously, he's a defensive coach, so he's got that mindset, and I think he's going to want his team to have a physical run game and attack in that way. So I think coming to peace with something like that was a big step, from year one to year two. So I think that's so important for him. And I think it's important for this program. And I think as he moves forward, the more he grows and the more he understands in that, I think the better he becomes as a head coach.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned it, the spring practice and getting a staff acclimated. It's not even really fair to evaluate with 15 practices under your belt, but what is the sense that you're getting from Baylor after this spring season? I don't even want to call it a season. It's the spring practice era.
Yeah, no, I think they feel good. They feel good about where they are. They're making progress. I think, and if you watch the spring game, certainly if you're a fan, you're probably a little concerned about the way the offense looked and some of the mistakes, there's some turnovers and things of that sort. But I also think if you watch closely, especially if you watch the quarterback play, there are some signs of positive takeaways that you can have from some of the play and some of the things. I look at offensively, I see Treston Ebner, who I think is a home run threat, who I think is in an expanded role this year is going to be fantastic. You have experienced receivers like R.J. Sneed and Tyquan Thornton, who I think are super talents. And at quarterback, obviously you got to figure that out. But I thought, Gary Bohannon had some nice moments, making plays. I thought Blake Shapen made one throw on the run that I thought was really impressive. Mm-hmm. Zeno has been around, and we're talking to coaches and people in the building over the last few weeks. He, certainly maybe he had some mistakes early on in the spring game, but that was not necessarily emblematic of what his spring was. Overall, his spring, from what I've been told, was pretty solid, and that he performed really well over the course of the spring and really impressed the staff. So it's going to be an interesting battle to see how that goes. But the defense, certainly, I think you take away is that the defense is probably a step ahead of the offense at this point. And I think that, again, when you have a second-year defensive coordinator, you have some key players returning back. You got Terrell Bernard, obviously one of the best out there, and then the acquisition of Apu Ika in the defensive interior up front. I think he's going to be a big-time playmaker for them. I think there was a big get to get him over from LSU. When you have that type of talent on defense and you're in the second year of a system, I think it's natural to expect when you're working in a new offense that the defense is going to be a little bit ahead.
Yeah, definitely here in Waco, at least, the frustrations lay 1,000% with the offense a year ago. And obviously retooled that, going to be a new man behind center. Before the spring game, it felt like it was Jacob Zeno's to lose. At least that was my best estimate without being too close to the program or having any source to confirm that. After the spring game, it seems like everybody on Twitter is ready to give Gary Bohannon the Heisman. And it seems like the truth is probably a little farther away from that scenario. But is there anything you're getting about who potentially is going to be the guy when it comes to game one against Texas State for the Bears at quarterback?
I think it's still to be determined. What I would say is this is why coaches don't love spring games being televised and being open to the public all the time, because we do make these grand proclamations based on what we see in that 1 of 15 practices, as you mentioned earlier. I would say this, from what I understand, like I said, Zeno had a pretty good spring. And like you said, the buzz was coming in. He probably had the slight edge coming out of spring ball, at least before we saw that spring game on Saturday. But from what I was told, Gary Bohannon had a lot of great days over the course of spring. And there were definitely some times where, okay, maybe Zeno had a good day, then maybe Gary Bohannon came with a really good day the next day. And I was told that they've made it tough on the staff so far. And Shapen, of course, let's not forget him. I think the impressive thing about Shapen that I've heard is how many different arm angles he can throw from, the way he can throw on the run, some of the ability that he has. If there's one thing with Shapen that I've been told is that one thing is they want him to understand a little bit better about decision-making and let's be smart with the football. So that was one thing over the course of practice and scrimmages that I've heard. But overall, these three guys have definitely made it difficult on this staff and are going to make it a challenge to pick a starter come September. And I know he's not probably going to be the guy this year, but down the road, Kyron Drones, the compliments of that guy and his physical ability, long-term, that guy is going to be a star. Anybody who saw him at Shadow Creek and state championship a couple years ago, I think would attest that the kid's got a tremendous amount of potential. But certainly as a true freshman, you got to learn and you got to understand, you got to develop, and doing so, this offense is a little bit different than the one he was recruited for. So that you got to take that into account. But Kyron is a physical ability. Long-term, I think you got to love the upside with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think after this redshirt year, which we're assuming it will be for him, he is all of the buzz here in Waco. He's all that in a bag of chips. So we're excited for him once he gets to be the guy under center. Going back to what you said about kind of it being a 3-horse race, is it still a 3-horse race from what you're hearing, or is it just kind of Zeno and Bohannon?
I would probably give Zeno and Bohannon the edge. I think it's going to be one of those two once we get to September. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think we're going to see it play out in August. I don't know that they would have a starter declared by the time you get to August. Certainly, the summer workouts and how they do in 7-on-7s and player-led workouts, that's going to matter. That's going to have an impact because we're talking multiple months in between now and the start of training camp. So that's important time for both of them to step up and show some leadership and kind of take the reins. So certainly there will be somebody that's got to take that first snap in the first training camp practice in August. And that will probably be based on how much progress they made over the course of the summer. But ultimately, I think those few weeks in training camp in August are going to really determine where they end up going.
Now, let's switch gears a little bit here to recruiting. That's really going to be the future. Anyone who knows college football knows that's the lifeblood of your program, is what can you do when you get these high school kids into your program. What is the perception of Baylor to these kids that are in state of potentially coming to Baylor and making a name for themselves on the football field? Is that something that's exciting to recruits right now, even after last season?
Yeah, I think it is, because the recruits that you're recruiting now that are 16, 17, 18 years old, they're old enough to remember some of the high points. They're old enough to remember 2014 when they made a run close to the college football playoff. They're old enough to remember Robert Griffin III winning a Heisman Trophy. Those are lasting images for a recruit, if you remember that. And then, of course, the 11-3 season in 2019. So then you go to Waco and you see what they've built at McLean Stadium, and you see, you go in the coaches' offices, and I know, there's obviously plans to improve some of the facilities there, but even the coaches' offices now, I think you walk in and the recruiting lounge, it's a really nice place. They have these huge screens and everything, and it's really impressive what I think Baylor has put together over the last 10 years and the investment they made in football facilities. But overall, I think the buzz is positive, and I think a lot of it too has to do with relationships. As I think you look at this coaching staff, Aranda is a relationship guy. You talk to him, you sit with him, he's genuine, he's introspective, he's candid. I think that matters. Jeff Grimes is a guy who's got a background in the state of Texas, from Garland. That matters. Justin Johnson, receivers or running backs coach, played at Houston. He's from around. He's got roots down here. So having those kinds of guys on your staff and that know the lay of the land, that understand where these kids are coming from, that matters a whole lot when you're putting together a recruiting class and trying to get guys to come to your place. But I think there's no doubt that because of some of the high points that Baylor has had in the last decade, that it's recent enough that there is a positive perception of Baylor football as it pertains at the moment.
On the flip side of that, the transfer portal, as of about 2 weeks ago, got a whole lot more important for a guy like David Aranda and winning now. Are you hearing anything about transfers potentially targeting Baylor as their new home, or is Baylor going to be a hot spot, do you think, with what? I
mean, that's you could really say that for anybody. Yeah. It's really is what happens. This is these next few weeks and months, we're really going to see all that play out, because what happens is after spring practice is over, all these coaches, they're going to have meetings with every individual player. Here's where you are. Here's where we see you long term. And so players are going to make their decisions at that point. Okay, where am I on the depth chart? Am I going to play this year? If I'm not going to play this year, do I need to go somewhere else? And so that means if you're Baylor, does that mean you're going to lose a couple of guys? And on the flip side, we're going to look at our roster and say, okay, after 15 spring practices, how do we feel at every position group? Do we feel weak at linebacker? Do we feel weak at offensive line? Where do we need some depth? And so you go to that portal and you're going to go find some guys. And I've heard coaches use it in a pejorative manner to call the transfer portal or the current transfer market free agency. I don't necessarily look at that as a bad thing. I think it's another way to supplement your team and improve your team. So if you're Baylor and you look at your team and you say, well, I need some offensive line depth. We like the starters we have, but we really could use another one or two offensive linemen to improve that depth. There's going to be somebody in the transfer portal that you can go get that's played college football. And unlike the high school recruits that you're trying to sign that you haven't been able to see for the last year because of the dead period, you've got college video that you can evaluate and the competition level they played. So it becomes finding a fit, figuring out who's available. But there's no doubt that is going to be a regular part of the offseason, not just for Baylor, but for the entire teams across the entire country for the coming years.
Now, all of that combined, what are your expectations for Baylor this season? Don't break my heart. Just put it to me nice and easy if you can.
I think they're probably a 500 team. I think they should be in the mix to get in a bowl game, I would think. I have to look at their schedule. Let me pull up their schedule real quick. But I think they should take a step forward. I don't think they were as bad as 2-7 last year. I think that was a confluence of circumstances. I look at the talent on the roster and I don't see a team that is a 2-win team, or I guess in a non-conference situation, it'd be a 4-win team. I think this team will take a big step forward. I think defensively they'll be solid. Like we talked earlier about, Bernard and Ika right up the middle. I love how they are defensively up the middle. And I think they've got some experience on the back end. The quarterback is going to be the most fascinating part of it to figure out. But I go back to the talent around them, the skill talent they have. The biggest question I think for Baylor is how much do they have enough quality depth up front on the offensive line, and how good are they going to be up there? But I look at the schedule, I look at the non-conference schedule, and I don't see any reason why you should not go into that Iowa State game at 3-0. So you're halfway to bowl eligibility there. Certainly you're a little bit backloaded on the schedule, but I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be in the mix for a bowl game this season.
And I'm so glad you said that about the 2-7 season a year ago. There were so many things that compounded to make that much worse than what it was. If you look across the offensive depth chart, at least, you got weapons on weapons on weapons. RJ Sneed, Tyquan Thornton, like you said, Ebner is going to be a monster. They got a lot of guys that I think people haven't heard about yet that are going to make a big impact. So it's encouraging to hear that we're matching up on some of these things here, Sam. That makes me feel really good about myself and my own assessment. So I'm feeling like I'm getting a lot of confirmation here. Riffing on that, how open is the Big 12 right now? Because all I've heard is how good Iowa State is, how good Oklahoma is. I mean, is it just them two and everybody else right now?
I think there's a little bit of a drop-off from those two to the rest of the crew, absolutely. From a talent standpoint, I think Texas is close to Oklahoma, but we know what the situation is there. It's not always just about talent at Texas. There's a lot of other things that go into it, and they're breaking in a new quarterback. They're either going to have Casey Thompson or Hudson Card starting. So there's a question to answer there. But I think Oklahoma and Iowa State are your two favorites. If you're picking Big 12 championship game contenders today, those are the two teams I'd pick. I mean, Iowa State brings back virtually everybody off of what was a fantastic team last season. And, of course, Oklahoma has Spencer Rattler back, and I love the defensive line that they've got. I think Oklahoma's under Alex Grinch defensively is taking some huge steps. But beyond that, Texas obviously is a team that you have to keep an eye on in the mix just because of the talent level. I'm curious to see how it goes there. I don't necessarily think they're going to be the third best team, but Oklahoma State is going to be in the mix. And TCU, I look at the way the TCU finished the season last year, winning 5 of their last 6. I look at some of the offensive talent they return with Max Duggan at quarterback, who's I think is growing, and he's got to get better, but he's growing. I look at the running back room there that is loaded with a 5-star prospect like Zach Evans, who really came on late last season. I think TCU's got a chance to take a big step forward this year. And if I had to pick a dark horse outside of Oklahoma and Iowa State, I probably am looking at TCU as a team that could potentially break in there and steal one of those Big 12 title game slots. But then the rest of the conference, I think, is pretty wide open. You know, I'm intrigued by Texas Tech. You know, they've been down the last couple of years, but they bring back a ton on defense. So I'm interested to see how they look. So, you know, it's an interesting year. And certainly I think the Big 12 is definitely, even though we know Oklahoma and Iowa State are the favorites, I don't think it's necessarily a shoe-in. And I think it's definitely going to be a little bit wide open this year.
Sam, you're going to get me in trouble here talking about TCU in such a good light. That really is going to hurt our ratings, and so I'm going to wrap this up right now. But, I mean, this is kind of a curveball, and this actually has nothing to do with Baylor right now at least, but more so the dumpster fire at Kansas. I didn't tell you we were going to talk about this, so I apologize. I'm putting you on the spot here. Is there someone you like for that job right now? I'm hearing Munkin, I'm hearing Fritz. As it pertains to the Big 12, that feels like that's going to be a crucial hire for the next 10 years.
Yeah, the names that have been floated around, I guess the most in the last couple of days I've seen were Jeff Munkin at Army and Lance Leopold at Buffalo. Willie Fritz, you mentioned at Tulane. I think Willie would be a great fit. To me, if you're Kansas, I think you need to do something different. That, to me, is why I think Jeff Munkin makes a lot of sense. If Munkin were to come there and run the triple option, just like he does at Army, I think that's a good thing for Kansas, because the talent deficit that Kansas has right now means that they're not going to get better or beat other teams doing the same thing, because they don't have the talent level that the other teams in the Big 12 have. They're so far behind in that regard. So I think the way to attack it is do something a little unconventional, something that's a little bit more difficult to prepare for. And I think bringing somebody like Munkin makes a lot of sense. Fritz, I think at Tulane would be a great option if they went that way. Obviously, he's got some roots in the state, and Fritz is schematically is a little bit different, not quite triple option, but he's got some different elements to his schemes offensively that, you know, that would make it a little bit unique, certainly in the Big 12. But I think all three of those guys, Leopold also, I think all three of those guys are fantastic options for Kansas. And if I think any one of those three would be a quality guy to go with, and certainly would put them in a little bit better direction than they've been the last 8 to 10 years.
And Coach Creighton at Eastern Michigan is kind of a dark horse that I've heard a little bit about, but nothing obviously that's worth making any noise or making any headlines. But I worry about the coaches that I really like because I don't want them to go to Kansas. And
it's a hard job.
It's got to be the hardest job, if not in
Power 5, yeah,
for sure college football. So that's, goes without saying. I'll get you out of here with this. A lot of people, I think, panicked last year, especially casual fans in Waco panicked when they saw 2 wins after a Sugar Bowl season with Coach Aranda. How far away is Baylor from getting back to that national stage, and is Coach Aranda the guy to get them there?
I think it's a few years. I think it's at least 3 years to get back into contending for a Big 12 title. I don't think they do it this year. I'll be interested to see how this year goes, and I think that informs how ready they are to take another step, in 2022. But I think it's going to take a little time. I think this, to me, is a long-term play because Dave Aranda feels to me like a guy who's going to set down roots. I don't see him as a guy that is a coaching nomad, so to speak. I know obviously as an assistant he had to be because that's just the nature of the gig, but the fit for him with this place, just from his personality and the way the values and just what Baylor values, I think it fits. It makes sense to me. And so as long as they can move in the right direction and take positive steps, I think the administration will be patient with him. And I think long-term in 3, 4, 5 years, I think it's going to turn out to be a great hire. I think down the road, yes, I do think Dave can get him there because he knows what championship football looks like. He did it at LSU. He was part of a great program in Wisconsin. He understands. He's been in coaching for 24 years. Is all he's done since he injured his shoulder in high school and went into coaching as a college freshman. This is what he's done, and this is what he loves. And so as long as he can grow and continue to grow as a head coach and understand how to do what he needs to do and get the program moving in the right direction, schematically, there's never going to be a problem with Dave because X and O's, go sit with him, that guy at a clinic and watch him talk football. It's incredible. It's a lot of fun to watch. So he's got that part down. As long as he gets the other things down and understands and grows in that way, I think long-term he's got really, really high potential here at Baylor. And I think this job is we've seen it, like we said, we talked about it earlier, some of the high points they've had in the last decade, the potential is there for Baylor. I don't know that they will do it every year, but certainly there's a chance to do it every few years.
Well, hey, I really think you're right there, Sam. I think Dave is the guy for this job to get this program heading in the right direction. I think last year was really random and not a reliable sample size at all. I think a lot of people in Waco also hope you're right and would agree with you. But Sam, thanks so much for coming on here and spending some time with us and talking about everything that is Baylor football and college football in the great state of Texas.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Again, Sam Kahn Jr., you can find his beautiful stuff at The Athletic. He writes, does podcasts, man does it all. Keep it locked right here because we'll be right back. This is Up Tempo.
With so many companies and policies
Can you feel it? Happy Monday, Baylor Nation. The inevitable is on the horizon with Baylor's ideal scenario being to hire a new women's basketball coach today. The fan base is on the edge of its seat. But as of 11 a.m. today, there is still no permanent coach at the helm of the Baylor women's basketball program. Names such as 2018 WNBA Coach of the Year Nikki Collin of the Atlanta Dream and Megan Duffy of Marquette have emerged as names at the forefront of the search. We'll keep you updated throughout the week as news breaks from Macroads offices. You can also stay up to date with insider coaching search information on SicEm365.com. Elsewhere in Baylor athletics, the softball team didn't let a little rain ruin their parade as the team swept Kansas over the weekend in a 3-game series in Waco. Game 1 ended in a 7-1 final, with Game 2 being played over the course of 2 days due to a weather delay, and ending while Sunday's Game 3 was a 6-1 blowout to sweep. And the tennis teams are geared up to find out their postseason fates, as the number 1 men's team in the country, your Baylor Bears, expected to be crowned the number 1 overall seed in the nation, and the number 8 women's team expects to host round 1 in Waco. And former Baylor football player William Bradley King came off the board over the weekend in the 7th round as the 240th overall pick in the draft. Bradley King was the only Baylor player selected. Around the horn and other college news, I'm pretty sure Kansas hired a football coach a few days ago, and we just didn't ever talk about it. Well, they've now got Lance Leipold at the helm of the squad after Leipold went 37-33 over his last 6 years, the coach of the Buffalo Bulls. He went 24-10 in his final 3 seasons. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
The Jeep Celebration event at Allen Samuels has special pricing on the new 2021 Jeep Renegade Latitude with total values up to $5,250 or 0% for 84 months. Or a special deal on a new 2021 Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid Limited with total values of $7,000 or 0% for 72 months. It's the Jeep Celebration event at Allen Samuels, the best place to find your new vehicle. Located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens available. Touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas, familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new Lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll for a Baylor take on your lunch break.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Well, 110 on Monday, and still no women's basketball coach at Baylor University. That's what we've all been watching, and I know I said it. I hoped it would come sometime around noon, 12:30 today. I thought early afternoon would be the time that Mac would go for it, just so they could fly whoever it is in tonight and get them in pretty early, but well, nothing yet. Still no announcement on who Baylor will hire as the head women's basketball coach. So we'll turn our attention to the men's basketball side. And Baylor just won a national championship. The recruiting game is still going on. James Akinjo now in a Bear uniform. And joining us to help us break it down from Heartland College Sports, Matthew Postins. Matthew, been a little bit. Thanks for joining us again.
Hey, no problem, man. How you doing?
I'm doing. I'll tell you what. Middle of a coaching search, everything going on with the Kim Mulkey situation. I do want to get your thoughts, though. I mean, outside looking in, just from someone that covers sports, what do you make of this whole Kim Mulkey deal?
I thought it was really interesting when I heard about it. You know, first of all, her time at La Tech kind of overlapped with my time at SFA. Both were premier women's basketball programs at the time. She was an assistant there when I was covering the Lady Jacks at Stephen F. So I got to meet Kim very early in her career. Now, she wouldn't remember me from a hole in the wall, but I got the chance to interview her during a run in 93 when they played each other in the regular season, which back then that was a big game. It was like 2 top 15 ranked teams in the country at the time. She'd been there such a long time. She'd done such an amazing job turning that program into something substantial and incredible, 3 national championships. That said, everything runs its course to some degree. I know that she has a great affection for Louisiana. Can't imagine how hard it was to find good etouffee in Waco. Maybe that was a deciding factor in all this, but she's going to an LSU program that, they've been good, but not great since Sue Gunner passed away. Sue was the head coach at SFA for a while before she went to LSU and built the program there. So, LSU is getting a great coach, somebody who knows how to build a program, turn something into something incredible. And, she's set up Baylor to find somebody that I'm sure will be a Power 5 coach, somebody who's had success and is hungry to take the program, keep the program where it is now.
Matthew, moving over to the men's basketball side and for Baylor, I mean, we've talked women's basketball, football, and now into men's basketball today because recruiting's still a big thing, and the transfer portal is still very hot across the country. It sounds like Baylor is done, though, with the pickup of James Akinjo, and that's kind of where I want to start. What do you make of Baylor bringing James Akinjo on board to be a part of this squad? And is that the end game for Baylor when it comes to bringing in transfers?
Well, I mean, Big East Freshman of the Year, Pac-12 Player of the Year, first team? Why wouldn't you want him? Why wouldn't you want him? With the fact that we know Mitchell's gone, we know Teague is gone, we're pretty sure Butler's gone. He hasn't announced it yet, but I think we all know he's probably going to head to the NBA, and I can't blame him. Bringing in a guy like a Akinjo who can play immediately, assuming he gets, I think he may need a waiver of some kind because he's already transferred once, depending upon how the rules read now. But you pair him with Flagler in the backcourt. LJ Cryer's back there now. He'll want more time, and he should get more playing time. The recruiting class is incredible. You've got, a top 36 prospect in Langston Love who could potentially play immediately. I mean, their backcourt's kind of set. 3 recruits, all in the top 102 in the country. You bring in a Akinjo, pair him with what you have. I think Mayer's coming back. I know he's in the draft pool, but I think this is just him getting his report card and he'll come back. I think it puts them in really good shape to be among the top contenders in the Big 12. I wouldn't rule out them bringing in one more player, especially if they find a transfer that they know will have to sit out a year for whatever reason. That's not going to happen very often now, but if there's somebody that they can transfer in and maybe just redshirt a year because they haven't used their redshirt, as long as they haven't used their redshirt, they can transfer anywhere. So they could take in another transfer, redshirt him for a year, and then bring him back off the roster in 2022. But I think they're pretty much set, unless they're waiting to see what Butler does to do something with his scholarship. But I think they're set at this point. It's hard to do the count this time of year because you have so many players in the portal and you're trying to keep track of the 13 scholarships. And like with a team like Iowa State's been nice. They've been updating their roster as players have been transferring away. So you kind of know who's on scholarship and who's not. But not every school is doing that to that degree.
Matthew, with Jared Butler not declaring for the draft yet, we've seen Maceo Teague do it. Mark Vidal's already announced that he's leaving, and obviously Davion Mitchell is on the front end of that, a guy that is a lottery pick and will likely go in the top 7 or 8 picks of the draft. But Jared Butler's been quiet. Nothing. Haven't heard. I saw him at a Chi Omega formal a week ago, but that's about it. What do you make of that? Why nothing yet? Why silence from a player of Jared Butler's caliber, in your opinion?
Yeah, that's a good question. Now, first of all, the deadline to declare is later than usual. It's usually around the end of April. This year, it's around the end of May. And then the deadline to come back after you declare is around July. So the calendar's pushed back a little bit. So these players aren't in as much of a hurry to declare as they might have been previously. Butler's interesting because he looks like he's a first-round lock. Maybe not a lottery guy, but that's okay. I mean, I think he could fit in with a playoff team in the NBA that doesn't need a lot of guard help right away, and he could get acclimated to the game and make an impact as a 12, 15, 18-point guy right away. But, this time of year, you're getting a lot of information from a lot of different people. And this is the way I look at the NBA draft if you're coming out early, if you still have years in the table. If you're not a lead pipe lottery pick, you need to really think hard about whether you come out or not. Right now, Jared Butler's not a lead pipe lottery pick. He's a solid first-round guy. But Zaire Smith, who came out of Texas Tech as a freshman a couple of years ago, he was a solid first-round pick when he came out. He's not in the NBA anymore. So the thing you want to avoid if you're a player like Jared Butler is to be in a situation where you come out early and you leave your eligibility on the table, and a couple of years later you're out of the league. I'm not saying that's the type of player Jared Butler is, but that's part of the math you have to do. Like if you're him or, to a lesser degree, Ochai Agbaji at Kansas, Miles McBride at West Virginia, guys who are second-round picks and will probably not move into the first round. Those are the types of guys who should come back for another year. Butler, I believe, will be a first-round pick if he declares, but players make decisions for certain reasons. Sam Bradford came back to Oklahoma, after winning a Heisman because he enjoyed college and he wanted to keep playing. Maybe Jared Butler's in that same mindset too. But it is interesting.
How shocked would you be if Jared Butler decided on the other side of this that he would come back to Baylor and play again next season for Scott Drew and the Bears? Is that something that would shock you?
I would be surprised, honestly. He's a guy that I've kind of pegged since probably mid-January he was going to go to the league because every mock draft that I've seen, he's been in the first round and pretty solidly at that. And, going to teams like the Lakers, the Clippers, the Bucks, teams where, he would sit there for a couple of years and learn from great players and be in really good situations.
Matthew, when it comes to the transfer portal, I know we mentioned James Akinjo, who was spectacular at Arizona, and now you look down the line of other Big 12 transfers here. I know Rasir Bolton going to Gonzaga, Emmanuel Miller, a big pickup for TCU. There's Tyreek Smith, who's been mentioned, Davion Harmon to Oklahoma. When you weigh all the transfers in and out of the Big 12, what are some of the ones that really jump out to you that are going to shake this league up going into next season?
Oh, gosh. Well, I think Akinjo obviously could be that type of player, depending upon what happens with Butler. I think Texas has a really interesting array of guys. Jimmy Allen from Utah came in, averaged 16 points, 8 rebounds last year. I think he's going to start instantly. for the Longhorns next season. They brought in some really good transfers. They could really do some things with those guys. Kansas had to bring in a couple of transfers, and I don't think that they brought in anybody great, but I think the Cam Martin transfer is intriguing because he was a Division II All-American, and I'm really interested to see if a Division II player who was an All-American can step up and play at that level in the Big 12 next year. We saw Freddie Gillespie do it, going from D3 to D1, but he did it over the course of 2 to 3 years, got his game better. I'm interested to see if a player like Cam Martin can make the leap from D2 to D1 right away, because he'll be able to play right away. Maybe he's not going to have a huge impact on the conference, but he's the most intriguing transfer to me just because of where he's coming from at Central Missouri.
With that, look at guys like Davion Harmon, Rasir Bolton that are now out of the conference that have made their impact. And I mean, especially Rasir Bolton. Just what a loss for Otts in his first couple of weeks. Guys like that, I mean, the ones that are jumping ship, how is that going to change the face of this league moving into next season?
Well, going into the offseason, I thought Bolton was coming back. I thought Harmon was coming back. They're both gone now. With that, plus the early entries and all the transfers out, you're taking a lot of the experience that's in the conference with you. I mean, Iowa State really could have used Rasir Bolton just because of his experience alone at Division I basketball. Harmon was lined up to be the number one scoring option at Oklahoma next year before he decided to go to the draft and then transfer out. So you're robbing those two teams of some significant experience. The teams that, to me right now, that look the best set up are the ones that have kept most of their experience. Baylor, even though they're losing guys, they've got experienced guys coming back. Kansas lost a lot of kids to transfer, but it was lower level roster guys. West Virginia's lost a couple of kids to transfer, but only one starter. Still some question about whether Derek Culver's coming back next year based on what I'm hearing, but I think he ultimately will, because I don't think his game is ready for the NBA just yet. But the teams that are going to be good next year are the ones that have been able to hang on to their experience from a transfer standpoint. The teams that are really going to struggle, like Oklahoma, TCU, Iowa State, it's because they lost 6, 7, 8 guys to the transfer portal, including their experience. Oklahoma's going to be an interesting team to watch, because not just the transfers at the lower level, but Manick going to North Carolina, Harmon going to Oregon, losing Reeves to the draft. They're going to be in the lower half of the conference. They might be one of the worst teams in the conference next year.
Wow. Matthew, these new head coaches that we've got, the fraternity of guys, I say new, it's 4, 3 of which are new to the conference as head coaches, 2 of which are new to the conference compared to where they were last season. With the hires so far and from what you've seen, who has been the smash hit of keeping guys keeping the roster intact and pulling from the transfer portal?
Well, Beard at Texas. I mean, he's done a great job of bringing in guys from a transfer standpoint that can play right away. And really the only significant loss that he's had to this point is, Matt Coleman III going into the draft. Now, Courtney Ramey's declared, but he's leaving his eligibility open. So I think what he'll do is he'll get his report card and he'll come back. Andrew Jones has already said he's coming back. We're still waiting to hear what Jericho Sims will do because he has a year of eligibility left. We're still hearing what Greg Brown wants to do, the freshman. He's playing a lot of pickup basketball if you follow his Twitter feed, and he's always wearing Longhorn shorts. So everybody in Longhorn country goes, oh my God, that's a sign that he's coming back. Well, we don't know that yet, but he would be well served by coming back. His game needs more development. But if you think about, the players that, Beard has been able to convince to come back this year that were on Shaka's roster last year, plus the transfers that he's been able to bring in, this is pretty much the scenario that Texas was hoping for at this point. I'd love to see Sims come back. I'd love to see Ramey come back. If they come back, that team's going to be completely loaded.
I love that you mentioned the Texas shorts, because I can tell you when Petrino was fired at Arkansas in 2012, John Gruden wore a red tie on ESPN that night, and that was it.
And they lost their mind.
John Gruden was going to the University of Arkansas, so maybe the Texas shorts, maybe they'll be a little bit more lucky than the Razorback Nation was with John Gruden and his red tie.
It's the same logic that people use with Gruden, that he's a Tennessee guy because he married a Tennessee cheerleader.
Yep. So he's
a graduate assistant there for one semester. He's not a Tennessee guy, people.
He's going to Tennessee at some point in his career. That's what I keep hearing.
Yeah.
I keep telling he's replacing Derek Dooley. So you've got Weber and Dixon are the 2 names that I've written down that are hot seat. The seat's getting warm, at least going into next season. You felt the seat get warm this past year, and if it wasn't for Weber's late season turnaround, I don't know if he has a job at Kansas State come next year. But those two guys, what do you make of their job security at TCU and Kansas State going into next season between Bruce Weber and Jamie Dixon?
I think Weber's better positioned because he's been able to keep that talented freshman class that he brought in, and he committed early on to developing them. And Davion Bradford and Nigel Pack both had very good years for them that I think is going to serve them well going into next year. He's done a really good job of being really strategic with the transfer portal, bringing in guys that can help him in certain areas. Having Mike McGurl come back for another year is extremely helpful because he was the one senior they had, and he decided to take advantage of that COVID year and come back for one more year. The thing that I'm really worried about with Jamie Dixon is this is the second time in 3 years that his team has been just completely decimated by transfers. They've lost 9 players to the portal, and they've brought in some good talent. They brought in some guys that can score some points, but this is really going to be a test of Jamie Dixon's ability to take all the pieces together and in a short amount of time, see if he can put the chemistry set together. We see Chris Beard do this at Texas Tech 2-3 years in a row, and he does a really good job of it. Is Jamie Dixon that kind of coach? Jamie Dixon said at the Big 12 tournament that there's really no building programs anymore. It's really about getting guys off the transfer portal and putting them together in a short-term lead up to a season. Is Jamie Dixon that kind of coach? I think we're going to find that out this year. And whether he's that kind of coach or not may determine how much longer he's at Texas Tech. So I think Weber's on safer ground right now than Jamie Dixon.
Jamie Dixon at TCU, I'll put it candidly. I want your thoughts on this. Are his days numbered right now?
I don't think they're numbered right now. I think the boosters like him. He's a legacy. He played there. He's got really good relationships with the university and with the alumni. I think they want that situation to work, much like Texas wanted the Shaka Smart situation to work. Anytime you bring back an alumni, you want that situation to work. So maybe you give that person a little bit more time than you might otherwise. But I don't think they're numbered just yet. But certainly, as you go into this season, watch how well they play early and then watch how well they play in Big 12 play, because the problem they've had the last 2 years is they play really well in non-conference. They have a really good start in the Big 12. And then they just go in the tank. And if they do that for a third straight year, then you're going to start hearing a lot of chatter about his job.
Hey, they said the same thing about Scott Drew for a long time. Maybe Jamie Dixon is the second Scott Drew, and no, just no.
Probably not.
Probably not. Matthew, going into next season, this is the last question I have for you today. It's way, way too early, but everybody does it, and we're going to do it too. And that is picking out your top 3 or 4 teams going into next year in the Big 12 that you think are going to vie for a conference title. Because when I look up and down the conference, I wouldn't be surprised to see 8 or 9 teams in the postseason and another 7 or 8 that make the NCAA tournament. What say you when it comes to the top of this conference moving into next year as of now?
If I'm trying to pick a top 4, it's Baylor. And not necessarily in any order. Baylor, Kansas will find a way to be a part of that conversation. Texas, West Virginia, and then the dark horse to kind of really crash that party, really have a say in it is Oklahoma State. Even without Cade Cunningham, they're going to be a really good team next year.
Wow. And Baylor's odds to win the Big 12 next season compared to Texas, because I think those are the top 2 in my opinion. I do believe they will be in the preseason rankings, especially if things hold as well as they're looking for Texas, and maybe Baylor brings in one more. Of those 2 teams, is there any early separation yet that you see?
I think the early separation for me is just the experience of Baylor winning a national championship and just having that on their shoulder. I don't see Scott Drew as being the kind of coach that's going to allow his team to become complacent. That's just not their nature. There are players on that team who played well this year, Adam Flagler, Matthew Mayer, who want to make names for themselves beyond that national championship team. Texas is going to be hungry. They're going to have a lot to prove. Those 2 games between those 2 teams are going to be incredible games. But right now, I'd probably put my money on Baylor finding a way to be the better team by the end of the Big 12 season than Texas.
Maybe so. It's going to be interesting to see Chris Beard at UT and what he's able to do in Austin next season. Matthew, our Bear Games question of the day is tailored to women's basketball because I am just refreshing Twitter with Baylor written in there. Just waiting for this hire today that I thought would come earlier today, and it hasn't. But our Bear Games question day today, and I love getting outside opinion on stuff like this, and that is, in the first 3 seasons, what does Baylor's next women's basketball coach have to do to get a long-term contract?
Maintain the standard. And that doesn't necessarily mean national championships, but Baylor has been the dominant team in that conference for 10, 15 years now. And when you think about how good Texas was back in the day in the 80s and 90s under Jody Conrad, that's a big deal. That Kim was able to build that program up into something incredible. So whoever comes in and takes that job, they've got to maintain the standard. They've got to maintain this team being the best in the Big 12. Iowa State is usually really good. West Virginia usually pushes them every year. Texas is coming on. They had a really good year this year too. So as we talk about men's basketball, obviously, and I follow the women's game, but I don't write about it because I just don't have the time. But the Big 12 Women's Conference is a very good conference. There are 4 or 5 really good teams in that conference every year. And for Baylor right now, whoever that hire is, they've got to maintain the standard, keep them at the top of the conference, and keep them in the national championship conversation.
Matthew, along with that, I know you said you follow the game. I do want to get maybe, and this is kind of a shot in the dark, but is there any one name out there that you've heard in the murmurs of this coaching hire that you really like that could be successful at Baylor?
I think I probably like the name that most everybody likes, and that's Kim Taylor at Georgia. Just a really good coach, really solid hire. Seems to recruit well. She had to take over for a legend there at Andy Landers at Georgia, who I saw him coach back in the day when they came to the Midwest Regional in '96. Georgia had a player named Sadia Roundtree, who I think grew up in Celeste, Texas. They went to the Final Four that year, so I got to know Andy a little bit during those 2 days he was in Nacogdoches. But if you're going to succeed a legend like Kim Mulkey, why not hire somebody who's already had to do it once and has done it pretty well?
I love it. Matthew Postins from Heartland College Sports. Thanks for coming on the show today, as always. Pleasure to have you. Glad we got to talk to you again this week. And hopefully when we see you again, we'll have a Lady Bear basketball coach.
Hopefully so.
Always a pleasure. Matthew Postins, Heartland College Sports. I'm Drake Toll alongside Armstrong Sims. When we come back from this break, we're going to spend the last 30 minutes, the last half hour of this show talking nothing but women's basketball coaching hire because that is what's big right now. I've got a mailbag that's opened up on SicEm365.com. We're going to break that down. Tomorrow's show, we're going to take men's tennis and women's tennis. They'll both find their postseason fates tonight. We're going to talk to Michael Woodson of the men's tennis team on the show tomorrow about where his team is seeded, likely to be the number 1 overall seed in the country. And we'll keep following very, very closely this women's basketball search and this women's basketball hire. They've yet to make one, and I am very surprised that Baylor has yet to make one, but, well, it's Mack Rhoades. And everything that I've learned about Mack Rhoades is that everything you think about Mack Rhoades, throw it out the window because you just have no idea. So when we come back from this, though, we open up the mailbag, answer some of your questions about women's basketball coaching hire, and take calls and texts at 254-339-1122. I'm Drake Toll. That's Armstrong Sims. When we come back, we're talking women's basketball coaching hire. This, don't go anywhere, is Up Tempo.
Can you feel it? Happy Monday, Baylor Nation. The inevitable is on the horizon, with Baylor's ideal scenario being to hire a new women's basketball coach today. The fan base is on the edge of its seat. But as of 11 a.m. today, there is still no permanent coach at the helm of the Baylor women's basketball program. Names such as 2018 WNBA Coach of the Year Nikki Collin of the Atlanta Dream and Megan Duffy of Marquette have emerged as names at the forefront of the search. We'll keep you updated throughout the week as news breaks from Mack Rhoades' offices. You can also stay up to date with insider coaching search information on SicEm365.com. Elsewhere in Baylor athletics, the softball team didn't let a little rain ruin their parade as the team swept Kansas over the weekend in a 3-game series in Waco. Game 1 ended in a 7-1 final, with Game 2 being played over the course of 2 days due to a weather delay, and ending while Sunday's Game 3 was a 6-1 blowout to sweep. And the tennis teams are geared up to find out their postseason fates. As the number 1 men's team in the country, your Baylor Bears, expected to be crowned the number 1 overall seed in the nation, And the number 8 women's team expects to host round 1 in Waco. And former Baylor football player William Bradley King came off the board over the weekend in the 7th round as the 240th overall pick in the draft. Bradley King was the only Baylor player selected. Around the horn and other college news, I'm pretty sure Kansas hired a football coach a few days ago, and we just didn't ever talk about it. Well, they've now got Lance Leipold at the helm of the squad after Leipold went 37-33 over his last 6 years, the coach of the Buffalo Bulls. He went 24-10 in his final 3 seasons. I'm Armstrong Simpson. That's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up-Tempo.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Salsa drap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
It's a name and a memory that called us back. It's a belief and a labor that will carry us forward. It's a time and experience that will make you return. The new Bear Ridge Golf Club, a space revitalized, a course restored, a new experience. For a tee time today, call the Pro Shop at 254-848-7800. Go to BearRidgeWaco.com, just south of Waco on Highway 84. Come join us at Bear Ridge Golf Club.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at TexasTrialLawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
What you do in privacy is your own business. What you do in public with your truck, well, that's our business at Pickup Outfitters. In your garage, it's okay for your truck to parade around in the nude with no accessories. Hey, this is still America. But when you bring your truck out in public, it's just common decency to put an outfit on your truck. And that's where we come in at Pickup Outfitters. Put a cover on that bed. Cover your rear end with a bumper and a hitch, for goodness sakes. There are women and children on the roads. And guys, don't leave your tools exposed. Put them in a toolbox. Be proud of your truck and stand tall with a lift kit. Or improve your truck's posture with a leveling kit. Add some class to your pickup with new wheels and tires. Or dress up for a date with your new RV or boat with a fifth wheel or a receiver hitch. At Pickup Outfitters, we're dedicating to making the roads decent for all Central Texans. So when taking your truck out in public, remember your manners and accessorize it properly with an outfit from Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red meat potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over the mountains?
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Paulie, give me some of your tots.
No, go find your own.
Come on, give me some of your tots.
No, I'm freaking starved. I didn't get to eat anything today.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Brian, don't be jealous that I've been chatting online with Dave all day.
Your place for a Baylor take on your lunch break. Here's Drake Toll.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Drake Toll alongside Armstrong Sims. So, Megan Duffy, the women's basketball coach at Marquette, has been a name that has now become popular in the coaching hire, the coaching search for Baylor. A lot of folks are talking about that one right now, and I do want to let you know as we are tracking. We on today's show are tracking planes. We are tracking trains. If there is anything, if there's anything at all that is out there possibly on this search, we are covering it right now at SicEm365 and on the SicEm365 app, SicEm365.com. So Megan Duffy has just retweeted a Marquette women's basketball post. Says recruiting shutdown starts today, goes through May 9th. So this is just like a nominal, typical Marquette women's basketball recruiting post. Megan Duffy, the head coach of Marquette, just retweeted it. She is a name that has become, I have her as my odds-on favorite. If there are 5 horses in this race, Megan Duffy is currently my leader. If I had to put money on these, the odds, I created the odds at Megan Duffy plus 300. I have at number 2, Satia Messer at plus 350, which I think I am starting to lose on that. I don't think Satia Messer is still high up on the list or in the hat with this. What it would take at this point, in my opinion, what it would take for Satia Messer to get the women's basketball head coaching job is for a couple of those names out there, like Megan Duffy, like Nikki Collin, to fall through. Satia Messer, I have a plus 350 odds, plus 500 odds on Nikki Collin, who is the head coach of the Atlanta Dream, plus 750 odds of Molly Miller, who I like, what the flip, man? What the flip? I came on the show last Monday, did a whole segment about Molly Miller, last Tuesday actually, the whole segment about Molly Miller. It was just kind of a shot in the dark, like maybe, possibly, it's not too crazy that Molly Miller gets the job. Well, now, not saying she's going to get it, but it's a legitimate possibility that Molly Miller will get this job. Like what? The fact that Molly Miller's name is still in there, the fact that that's still a possibility. Do I know that Mac has interviewed her? No. No, I have not. No. I don't know anything from Mac. Mac hasn't told anybody anything. Mac is a lockbox. Yeah, SNL reference. Al Gore reference. Mac's a lockbox. So I can't tell you that he has interviewed Molly Miller or how much interest he's put into Molly Miller, but I can tell you that I've heard from multiple sources today that while it's still a long shot, that some people around college basketball that have major stake in the game of women's college basketball keep hearing the name Molly Miller over and over and over and over. And I'll tell you this, if I'm Molly Miller, I flipping love this. I'm clicking on all the videos. I'm seeing all the tweets. My name's going like borderline viral right now with this coaching search. And it's not just like some little random coaching search. This is a major women's college basketball coaching search right now. Major. And her name has come up with that. Like, I Googled the words Molly and Miller, and she's not even on the first page. You scroll down, and it's some poor girl who was murdered in Oklahoma, and they haven't solved the mystery yet, named Molly Miller. Like, she doesn't exist on Google on the first page search. And now she has had her name at the forefront of the biggest women's basketball coaching hire that we've seen since Notre Dame did this last year. So this is great PR for Molly Miller. If you're Molly Miller, Like, yeah, now when if Reagan Pebley ever leaves TCU, well, guess what? Molly Miller's name's going to be in the search. Every major women's college basketball search from here on out should have Molly Miller's name at the very front of it because of what's happened here at Baylor. So, no announcement yet. Not sure if we will. We expected to get an announcement coming into today. I expected fully to get an announcement coming into today, and we have gotten nothing yet. Nothing yet. So call us or text us, 254-339-1122. The phone line is open as well. What I'm going to do right now is open up the mailbag. So you go to SicEm365.com. There's a premium forum. You become a premium insider, and right now there are constant updates. 7 seconds ago, someone posted another thing. About the coaching search and insider information. If you go to SicEm365.com, it is cutting edge stuff that's talking about this coaching hire. Unbelievable stuff talking about the coaching hire. I want to go down here to something that I posted last night on the forum as well that was talking about what is important. Open up the up-tempo mailbag. So this says, let's again open what you've all been waiting for, the up-tempo mailbag. Hit JD and myself with your thoughts, questions, concerns on who you expect Mack Rhoades to name as the head women's basketball coach the next few days. Also, what are the traits that the new coach must have? What's the key to look for in making this hire? And don't just say Molly Miller, think outside the box. I put that in there that said, don't just say Molly Miller, let's think outside the box, right? First comment. Desert Bear says, just spitballing here, and maybe I'm casting my net too wide, but if we could find a female coach, 5'6" or so, blonde, winning percentage at like 900 or better, that'd probably be ideal. Totally trust Mac to narrow it down from there. That was the first comment. After I specifically was like, hey, let's think outside of like the Molly Miller hire. Gunny Hartman says, what trait am I looking for? Well, that her name is Molly, and I scoff at your rules. Texas Rainmaker says, someone with charisma. This is a good one. Someone with charisma. When our head coach walks in the gym to recruit, there's a buzz in the stands. The Baylor coach is here. Our women's basketball program is a blue blood. We need a head coach who can carry that weight with flair. I love it. I think having a coach that's a great PR professional, someone that can carry the PR, but also not just the PR, but also having that fire about them. I don't want you to be able to sit in front of a camera and say, yes, all things are good and great. I love Baylor and I am a Christian and bada bing, bada boom, and I'm going to win games. Give me some really good depth. I think depth in this coaching hire is huge. So charisma, not just this bleak like a hi, yes, faith, and let's go win some basketball games, but just a fire. Having the faith aspect, having that aspect still where you get the level-headedness. I'm going to say something that is positive PR for the university, but also in an emphatic way. Give me a women's basketball coach that just has that drive to win. There are certain coaches, Kim Mulkey being one of them, that refuse to lose. And that when you meet them and you see them work, that you refuse, that they refuse to lose, that you have full confidence. And everything that I've seen from Molly Miller is that they have full confidence wherever they go, whatever they do, they refuse to be anything but successful. You need that. And someone that does that in an emphatic, outspoken, charismatic way. Jack and DP says, a coach who will utilize the three-point shot. I got to disagree. I got to disagree with the three-point shot deal. You look at it, men's basketball, yep. If you make 13 threes a game, you're probably well off. In women's basketball, there's a lot more parity with shooting three-pointers. Look at Iowa State. They live and die by the three. Arkansas lives and dies by the three. And when you can live beating major powerhouse teams. You can beat UConn. You can beat a Baylor when you're draining three-point shots. But on your off night, when that's all you have and you don't have a dominant post, now what? You need a coach who likes a fast pace of play, but has really good bigs that are also fast. Okay, so your Lauren Cox can get up down the floor. Brittany Griner, it's like 3 steps and she's down the floor. That's what you need in a coach. A coach that can recruit the transfer portal well, and also a coach who will not just live and die by the three-point shot. Quest for 80 says, I honestly don't think it matters if she's on page 1 of Google. I agree. Referencing Molly Miller. She doesn't have to be on page 1 of Google for Baylor to hire her. I'm saying this is getting her name out there. Whether she gets the job or not, this is boosting her past page 5 of Google and to page 1. And if she gets the job, she'll be all over Google. You'll Google Molly Miller and you'll see that name just fired up. And you'll see her from Grand Canyon. I don't think that's going to be I don't think that's going to be a problem, her not being on the front page of Google for her to get hired at Baylor, but it's something out of this is gaining a lot of traction for her. Julius Plush, Julius says, gotta be an attractive coach. No, just good at winning games. Just good at winning games. This says, losing more games last year at a 4th-tier school than our high major school has lost in 10 years. So that's a reference to Molly Miller, who lost 7 games last year, which is more than Baylor has lost in the last 10 years. So first year. Go look at Kim Mulkey's first year at Baylor. Get back to me. This is alliteration. Bear Love 89 says he looks for alliteration when it comes to hiring a new women's basketball coach. Do you get it, Armstrong? That's pretty good. This one says a coach who runs the 4-point play. Very few of them out there. Very few of them still left in this day and age in college basketball, especially on the women's side. This says first name Molly, last name Miller. Someone with a winning track record and a solid recruiter. 2 things that I think that need to be at the forefront of this hire. This from Bruin 92. Current head coach of a Power 5 program is who Bruin 92 wants. There are very few of those that are still out there, those names that are being thrown out there, like Adia Barnes is one of the last Power 5 coaching hires that are being talked about with this job. Says current head coach of Power 5 program, multiple NCAA tournaments, and shows they can win. Proven recruiter, so top 15 classes, innovative offense, but also instills tough defense, has shown ability to adapt by varying personnel, and current staff will come with him or her and has the right mix of recruiters and X's and O's. That's a lot to ask, but that's an ideal coach. You hire that is the most ideal coach that they come. This says, if she has a male child who wouldn't wear skinny jeans, that is the requirement for the next head coach. Well, that's judging by what else happened today. This says win at all costs. I think that all costs is a lot. And this is where I want to end here. It's right for BU. Says, I think what Mac has tapped into is hiring the best coach that wants to be able to utilize their Christian faith in the program. Very few coaches, only super successful ones get away with it, i.e. Sweeney, even though he was almost run out of Clemson before he won the national championship, are allowed to add faith in the piece of their program at a state-run school. Many coaches want to do this and aren't allowed to. That is what Mac has tapped into and is able to pull some outstanding coaches to Baylor. Don't compromise this. Find the best coach in the country. We will win and get the recruits. What is Mac's secret sauce at Baylor? That is Mac's secret sauce at Baylor. P.S. We need to incorporate the 3-point shot more. I still agree with the 3-point shot take. Still agree with 3-point shot. Disagree with 3-point shot take. I think that basically with that, you need a dominant post before you have a 3-point shooter. So, but that's just me. That said, I like all these characteristics. I think faith is at the forefront of that hire. Faith is at the forefront of the hire. I left it out there to open up the mailbag. You guys responded with Molly Miller, so maybe that's who it'll be. I guess this place will burn down if it's not Molly Miller. baby. I'm Drake Toll. It's Armstrong Central. When we come back, celebrity birthdays this day in sports history. Don't go anywhere. Women's basketball on the cusp of hiring the next Lady Bear. This is Up Tempo.
Can you feel it? Happy Monday, Baylor Nation. The inevitable is on the horizon, with Baylor's ideal scenario being to hire a new women's basketball coach today. The fan base is on the edge of its seat. But as of 11 a.m. today, there is still no permanent coach at the helm of the Baylor women's basketball program. Names such as 2018 WNBA Coach of the Year Nikki Collin of the Atlanta Dream and Megan Duffy of Marquette have emerged as names at the forefront of the search. We'll keep you updated throughout the week as news breaks from Macroads offices. You can also stay up to date with insider coaching search information on SicEm365.com. Elsewhere in Baylor athletics, the softball team didn't let a little rain ruin their parade as the team swept Kansas over the weekend in a 3-game series in Waco. Game 1 ended in a 7-1 final, with Game 2 being played over the course of 2 days due to a weather delay, and ending while Sunday's Game 3 was a 6-1 blowout to sweep. And the tennis teams are geared up to find out their postseason fates. As the number 1 men's team in the country, your Baylor Bears, expected to be crowned the number 1 overall seed in the nation. And the number 8 women's team expects to host round 1 in Waco. And former Baylor football player William Bradley King came off the board over the weekend in the 7th round as the 240th overall pick in the draft. Bradley King was the only Baylor player selected. Around the horn and other college news, I'm pretty sure Kansas hired a football coach a few days ago, and we just didn't ever talk about it. Well, they've now got Lance Leipold at the helm of the squad after Leipold went 37-33 over his last 6 years the coach of the Buffalo Bulls. He went 24-10 in his final 3 seasons. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up-Tempo.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma. And they have to come here. They're used to lights. They're used to water in their mouth. They're used to experience. They already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll for a Baylor take on your lunch break.
Welcome back into the Penny Clinic Low T Bears Den. I'm Drake Toll alongside Armstrong Sims. Armstrong, I'm catching word that we can go 4 hours today. That today on this show, since there's so much going on, that we can go a whole 4 hours. Is that right? Another hour of the show?
You heard wrong. You heard incorrectly.
Do you make that final call?
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll still do celebrity birthdays in this day in sports history. First celebrity birthday, designer. Panda. That guy. He was how old today?
No idea. 40.
24. Noah Monk played Gibby on that iCarly show.
Okay, 28.
25. James Brown. Wow! I feel good.
87.
Dead.
Yeah, okay, but wait.
88.
I was so close.
Very nicely done, though. Yeah, it was really close. Tina the Tiger. How old's Tina the Tiger?
40?
21. Eric Church. Eric Church.
Is it a person?
Yeah. YouTube star.
I'm going to go Eric Church is 38.
44. How old today is Bing Crosby?
Bing Crosby is definitely dead. And he died on a golf course, I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
Just kind of random. But maybe 100 and... No. Yeah, 100. I'm going to go 100.
118.
Wow.
Frankie Valli. Sherry baby.
92.
87. Dead or alive?
No clue.
Alive.
Really?
26 Kentucky Derby. I know you remember this one. Jimmy Boland aboard Lit Gibson wins in 2:06.25.
This was 1924.
1900. Intercollegiate Athletic Association of the United States is renamed the NCAA in what year this day? In sports
1904.
1910.
Dang it.
Joe DiMaggio makes his major league debut in what year? 1936. Bobby Bonds hits his 300th home run for Cleveland Indians.
60.
79. Atlanta Falcons' Matt Ryan becomes NFL's first $30 million per season player after agreeing to a $150 million contract extension.
92.
Yeah, Matt Ryan, 92. Checks out.
Oh, I didn't even hear Matt Ryan. I was just saying a random number.
Hell, you know what that means. Gosh dang it.
I didn't know it was Matt Ryan.
Later, guys.
All right, I'm Drake Toll. That's Armstrong Sims. When we come back tomorrow, our fingers are crossed. Our toes are crossed. I've crossed every piece of clothing I have. If I've got something, it's crossed right now because we are hoping that by the time 11 bells rolls around tomorrow, Baylor has a new women's basketball coach. That's the hope. Maybe it'll come true. I'm Drake Toll. That's Armstrong Sims. If you can dream it, you can be it. When we come back tomorrow, we'll do some more stuff, and you don't want to miss that stuff. This has been and always will be Up Tempo.